Hey guys, tonight we tiptoe into a dark, breath-cool world where the sand is cold and the stars feel close enough to pluck like figs. You stand on a reed mat, a stone headrest presses under your neck. A temple waits a few streets away. The Nile hisses softly, like a kettle that forgot it is on. The first birds have not dared a peep. Your job? Wake a god before the sun wakes the world. Real talk. You probably won't survive this if you try it for real, no coffee, no snooze button. And yes, the pillow is made of rock. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your city and your local time in the comments. I love seeing our little map light up. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You blink at the shadows. The headrest is cool stone, curved like a moon. It holds your skull up. It keeps your hair, or your shaved scalp, dry and safe. A tiny carving of a funny, fierce dwarf leers on the base. That is Bess. He guards sleep. His tongue sticks out. He scares off bad dreams. It works most nights, and it looks like a prank every night. You slide your neck free. Your shoulders creak a bit. Someone should invent a memory foam headrest. But not yet. Not for a few thousand years. You sit up on the reed mat. It is scratchy but clean. It smells like rushes and a little like dust. Sand kisses your toes. Sand is nature's glitter. It sticks to everything. You brush it off and it still wins. You pull your linen cloth closer to ward off the chill. The night air is dry and thin. You can taste the river. You can also taste the lamp smoke from last night. Far off, a gate pin clicks. A low call drifts over walls. A temple guard gives the hour. He has a wooden clapper. 2 slabs, a sharp knock. It is gentler than a bell. It is still an alarm clock. If this thing had an app, you would give it 3 stars and a sigh of relief. Near the inner rooms, a night watcher checks a water clock. It drips in a steady line. The bowl marks the hours by the amount of water that slips out. You count along in your head, almost time. Most temples plan their morning rites to coincide with the first light of RA. Many walls line up with the sunrise. Halls run east to west. You will be in place when the pink edge of the stone makes contact with the ground. This is not random. It is the daily engine of the sky. That is the job. The god wakes, the sun sails, and the world stays in order. The order has a name, Ma'at. You breathe it like a promise. You stand. Your mat size. A cat lifts its head beside a jar and blinks at you like a boss. It is a temple cat, of course. It owns you. It owns the whole street. It decides you may pass. You nod back. It yawns, then knocks over nothing. Good cat. Great emotional support supervisor. You step outside into the fabulous patio. The sky is crushed velvet. A line of palm tips cuts the stars. You are now on your duty month. Priests take turns. They work in rotating teams called fills. 1 month on, then months off. Your file holds the keys and the tasks. You will carry the exact words and the same steps as those before you. This month, the morning belongs to you. Your friends in other teams sleep late, lucky stones that they are. A simple belt lies on a low stool. Your kilt waits, folded neatly. You tie it with sleepy fingers. You do not speak yet. The air feels like glass. Thoughts float and bob, light and slow. You touch your head. Smooth. You shaved at sunset yesterday. You will shave again after you bathe. For now, you keep dust away with a cloth wrap. You lift a small oil lamp. A flame grows, paints the wall with a golden fish. The wick smells like old flax and hope. You step into the street. The mud brick walls hold the night. The city is quiet but not empty. A baker has a fire already. The smell of bread sneaks around a corner. It is a warm smell, promises a reward later. You smile. You promise it right back. A donkey stamps 3 times and stops like it forgot what it was doing mid-stomp. Same, donkey. Same. The temple rises ahead like a ship in the dark. The pylon towers cut the sky. Their tips hold small flags that whisper. The avenue of sphinxes is pale in starlight. Their faces stare with that calm you can never copy. Your sandals whisper over packed sand. The sacred lake lies beyond the walls. It is still a bowl of stars. You are not there yet, but you feel the chill from here. Soon your skin will feel it too. You nod to the outer guard. He nods back. He knows your face. He knows your file month. A scribe sits nearby with a reed pen tucked behind one ear. He He scratches a note. He marks who comes and goes. The little papyrus squeaks. Ink dries dark in a blink. That is how power moves here. Quiet lines, names, times, all neat. You try not to step in the wet patch near the doorway. You fail. Your toes go squelch. The cat would never. Inside the outer court, torches sleep low in wall cups. The stone floor holds the night's cool. Every sound bounces up and fades. You pass carved kings and gods. Their noses are calm. Their hands hold ankhs and staffs. A breeze carries frankincense from yesterday. Today will be fresh, but not yet. You are here for the first breath of duty. The other priests wait deeper in. You hear a soft cough, a quiet foot. No one fills the silence unless it needs help. A thought flickers in as you walk. Did priests sleep inside the temple? Or did they come from homes like yours each morning? Historians still argue whether you would have lived within these walls, or in nearby streets, or even been ferried from across the river before dawn. You shrug. You are here now. That is what counts. You make a short stop beneath an open patch of sky. The stars feel heavy, like they weigh your skin. The never-dying circle near the north sits fixed. People call them the imperishables. They never dip below the horizon. The old ones said the best souls join them. You breathe 3 times, slow. You place your right hand on your chest. The linen whispers. Your mind drops small like a pebble into deep water. The ripples go out and out. A side door creaks. The keeper of the sacred lake passes with a hooked staff. He tips his chin. You answer with a slight bow. Soon he will wait by the water with lamps. He likes to count his steps. He says it keeps fear away. You have never seen him afraid, but you understand. Some mornings, the darkness feels too vast to contain. You think of a trick you learned as a child. You hum one note. You do not know why it helps. It always helps. You could tell 100 tiny things about nights like this. Here is one. Some people set little wax cones of perfume on their heads at parties. They melt slowly and smear sweet oil all over nice wigs. You do not wear one now. It would slide down your face, and you would be a human candle. But the idea makes you grin in the dark. You pass the inner gate and pause. Clay seals on cords hang untouched over there. Their little stamps show gods, kings, and birds. Your hands stay at your sides. Not your turn yet. Not until the right dots on the timeline align. Another priest will check them at dawn. For now, you walk the edge of the court. Step, breathe, step, breathe. Your body wakes in pieces. Your mind wakes faster. Duty is a gentle hook behind your ribs. The lake's black glass waits beyond the next hall. The first ibis croaks once like a door hinge. You smile into the sound. You turn toward the dark water. Your lamp shrinks as the sky lightens by a hair. The world hangs in the balance before the day. You are ready to move. The lake waits where the stone opens to the sky. You step through a narrow door and pause. The air smells like wet slate and lotus stems. The keeper stands with his hooked staff and 2 little lamps. He nods. He counts his steps under his breath. You answer with a smile. He does this every morning. It is his spell against the dark. It works for you too. Stone stairs lead down into the black water. The edge is lined with smooth blocks. Papyrus stalks lean in from the far side. Stars lie on the surface, perfect and still, like a tray of little lamps. You lift your kilt and fold it on a dry stone. Your sandals join it. The linen is cool on your palms. You set a small pot of natron beside the fold. The pot is chalky. The grains inside are pale and sharp. Most big temples keep a sacred lake like this. It is a real thing, not just a pretty pond. Priests wash here before they touch the holy doors. You feel the weight of that. You touch the water with your toes. It bites, cold. You whisper, sorry for your goosebumps. They forgive you. You step down 1, 2, 3 steps. Your ankles go numb. Your breath puffs white in the starlight. This is an ancient cold plunge. No discount code. No towel robe. Just you and the night. You whisper a line you learned as a child. Pure is my body. Pure is my mouth. Pure is this water. Your voice schemes the surface and returns softly. You cup the lake and pour it over your head. The stars break and run in tiny streams. Your scalp tingles. You dip again. 3 times. Some days you do 4. Historians still argue whether the rule was 3, 4, or more, and whether the number mattered more than the mood. You guess the mood matters. The lake can feel your hurry. You slow down. You reach for natron. The grains crunch under your nails. You rub it into your palms and then your arms. It scrubs like salt. It is salt and also soda. It comes from dry lake beds far away. People haul it in huge baskets. The same stuff dries the dead. It also cleans the living. It is the desert's all-purpose powder. You smear it over your chest. You breathe in the sharp smell. It smells like sun on stone and a little like an old kitchen. Your skin wakes up everywhere at once. Fun fact for the awake at this hour. Some folks mix natron with ash and honey and call it toothpaste. Tastes like a mistake. Works, though. You rinse. The water stings, then soothes. Yesterday's dust lets go. You think of all the hands that have done this here. Thousands of mornings. Thousands of breaths. You rub your head, behind your ears, your feet, and your fingers. No spot gets a pass. You dip your face, and the world goes silent for a blink. When you rise, the stars stick to your lashes. You laugh once very softly. The lake eats the sound. The keeper waits above, patient as a palm tree. He sets the razor kit down on a clean cloth. No, not a 5-blade wonder with a blue strip. A copper razor, thin and keen. Beside it, a flint flake shines like a shark tooth. Flint stays in the kit for exceptional work. Old habits hold power here. In fact, some sacred rites still use flint long after everyone has access to bronze. You settle on a low block. Water drips off your elbows and makes round moons on the stone. You oil your cheeks with a drop from a small jar. Morina or castor. It smells green and a little like nuts. The blade whispers over your skin. Swipe, rinse, swipe. You pull the skin flat with 2 fingers. You keep the move slow. The dark and the cold are not the best barbers. But you have done this many times. You take the scalp too, even though you shaved last night. Smooth is the rule. Herodotus once wrote that temple priests shaved their entire bodies every other day and washed twice a day, as well as twice at night. You nod to that busy schedule while your razor makes its small, steady zips. Historians still debate whether he inflated the number to impress his friends, but the idea remains. Clean, hairless, ready. You do the arms and legs with the flint flake. It bites cleaner than copper and more closely. It is quiet, like cutting paper with new scissors. A novice stands nearby with a lamp, pretending not to stare. He will do this next year. You see his envy. He sees your goosebumps and rethinks life. The cat from earlier appears at the top step. It looks like a tiny inspector, tail flick, approval pending. You try not to nick a knee. You fail once. A dot of red beads up. You dunk it. The lake kisses it away. You mutter, hush. The cut obeys. You dab more natron under your arms. You smear a little on your feet. It acts like soap and functions as a deodorant. Desert hack. It works. Side effect. You now taste a pretzel when you lick your lip. The sky pales a shade. Birds think about singing. A frog clears its throat. You shave tiny patches you missed. A line of dawn blooms in the east. The pink is as soft as linen. You feel time lean forward. You do not rush. You tip the last of the natron into the water. A little puff blooms and sinks. You rinse the razor with care. You wipe it dry with a corner of a cloth. Copper likes to sulk if it stays wet. You fold the kit back into its leather pouch. It squeaks a bit, like the scribe's papyrus did. You smooth oil over your arms, your chest, and your head. The shine makes you look like a new statue. It also keeps your skin from cracking later. Egypt is a giant clay pot set in an oven. You have to keep from becoming a chip. You scoop water and wash your mouth. You spit into a reed basket off to the side. The keeper nods. The lake stays pure. You clean your hands again. You whisper a line to the goddess who guards fresh water. You are not picky about names at this hour. Any goddess who likes clean hands is your friend. You touch your forehead with wet fingers and draw a small sign only you will notice. Habit. Comfort. You do not show it off. The novice hands you a clean linen cloth. You pat dry in brisk strokes. The fabric is smooth and faintly scented with a lotus rinse. It makes a slight hush-hush sound on your skin. You think about the kitchens far off and their own hiss-hiss. Bread is smiling somewhere. Not for you yet. Your job comes first. Your stomach files a complaint. You stamp it with a seal that says, later. It grumbles but waits. Your folded kilt waits where you left it. You shake it once. The air takes the last drops from your skin. You wrap the linen and knot it snugly. The belt settles at your hips. You straighten the edge. You check the corners for dust. None. Your fingers smell like natron and oil. You like it. It smells like order. Smells like yes. You pick up a small stone mirror. The surface is polished bronze. It shows a sleepy version of your face, gold and a bit bent. You run a finger along your eyebrow. No hair there. You touch your jaw. Smooth. You lean to the side to peek at your neck. A line of water slides down your spine and vanishes. A shiver follows it. You grin. You are awake now. The lake did its job. 5 stars. Would plunge again. After the sun warms it slightly. A temple fact. While the wind plays with the papyrus, many priests swore I paint not just for looks. The black coal cut glare and kept flies off. It also kept sore eyes calm. Your little jar waits in the inner room. You will line your lids soon. For now, your eyes are red from cold but clear. They sting a little. They like it, the stubborn things. The keeper takes his lamps and backs away. He counts his steps again. He always lands on the same number at the door. He swears it is lucky. You play along and count too. It lands on that number for you as well. See? The world is behaving. You scoop up your sandals. You step into them with wet feet. They squish. You make a face. You throw a look at the cat. It blinks. No help there. Cats do not squish. One more breath at the water's edge. You watch the stars fade at the rim. A slight breeze ruffles the surface. It lifts the smell of lilies. You tuck the natron pot under your arm. Empty now. You will refill later. It is as common in this place as ash near a hearth. It ties the living to the holy. Simple, strong, grainy like the ground itself. You climb the steps and leave the lake behind you. The stone at the top is warmer than the one below. Dawn has licked it once. You feel fresh and a little raw like new papyrus. You roll your shoulders. Your skin slides smoothly under the linen. The morning is a door. You are about to knock. You slip into the small room beside the lake path. The door closes with a soft breath. Lamps sit low in wall cups. Their light is honey gold and kind. A low table waits. The wood is smooth at the edges, rubbed by many mornings. On it, jars glow like small moons. Alabaster. They hold oils. They smell like green leaves, resin, and a hint of sweetness. A bronze mirror leans nearby. It holds a bent sun and your shiny new head. A novice brings a folded cloth and sets it down. He knows the steps. He tries to look calm. His eyes say, "Wow, you act like this is normal." It is. Your goosebumps settle. Your breath warms the room. The air smells clean, like crushed lotus and a little smoke. You sit. A pair of copper tweezers lies on the table. You tilt your arm and check for strays. There. A tiny hair winks at you like a naughty reed. You pinch and pluck. A sting. You do not flinch. Another near your shoulder. Gone. You check your jaw. Smooth. You run fingers along the back of your neck. One more little rebel. Pluck. You hum a small scale for bravery. The novice pretends not to smile. The cat appears at the door and stares like a fashion judge. You give it your best. I woke up like this face. It blinks. You pass. Barely. You open a jar of oil. The lid sticks, then sighs. Inside is clear gold. Morina or sesame, pressed with care. You pour a coin-sized pool into your palm. You rub your hands to warm them. You smooth it over your arms, your chest, and your scalp. The oil slides like silk and drinks into your skin. Keeps the desert from stealing your water. Keeps linen from grabbing you like a needy friend. A few drops of hold resin, maybe myrrh. The scent curls low and calm. You press oil onto your wrists and behind your ears. You feel bright inside your skin now. A fun fact about smell. There is a famous blend called Kiffy. It is thick, dark, and sweet, with notes of wine, raisins, and herbs. People burn it at night and claim it helps soften bad dreams. You will save that for later. Morning needs a lighter touch. Lotus and myrrh do the job. The lamps agree. You reach for a small palette. 2 little cups hold soft powder. One is green. One is black. The green comes from a copper stone. People say it invites health. The black comes from a heavy rock ground, very fine. It makes the sun back off. Both help with flies and glare. You choose the black. Daylight is coming. You dip a tiny wooden stick into a drop of oil, then into the black powder. Turns into a slick paste. You lean into the mirror. The bronze shows a warm version of your face. You touch the stick to your lower lid and draw a slow line from the corner to the opposite corner. Tickles. Your eye waters a little. You blink once, then pull the top. Your hand stays steady. You stretch the line a bit past the corner so your eye looks long, like a hawk's. Now the other eye. The stick moves like a boat across a calm canal. The two lines match. Nice. Your eyeliner wing could cut papyrus. Do not test that. The scribe will be upset. This is not just for style. Here is a solid fact. People in this land use eye paint to cut the glare and keep eyesores down. The dark rim tricks light. It also keeps bugs away from the wet edge. Some say it helps the body fight little eye pests. Historians still debate whether people discovered the health benefits on purpose by chance or simply because of its aesthetic appeal. You know this. The sun can be rude, and this helps. You set the stick down and watch the black line settle. You feel a tiny lift in your chest. Ready eyes. Good. A bowl holds clean water. You wet a strip of linen, wipe a smudge, and dab the corners. The novice offers a pinch of ground green if you want to add a dot. Not today. Simple looks sharp. You take a breath. The room now smells a bit like mint. You are not sure why. Maybe the lamps whisper secrets. You open another jar. This oil is thicker and sweeter. You rub it into your shoulders. The skin gleams. You roll your shoulders. They slide easily in their sockets. Somewhere, a croak and a bird chirp argue about the morning. The cat sneezes, a tiny omen. Bless you, minor god. Time to dress. A chest stands at the side, lid carved with a lotus. You lift it. Inside, folded linen waits like a quiet cloud. You choose a kilt with delicate pleats. The pleats were set with heat and patience. Washers beat the cloth at the river with smooth stones. They used natron to clean and the sun to bleach. They sometimes brushed a little plant gum to hold crisp edges. You shake the cloth once. It rustles like quiet thunder. You smile. Thunder that does not wake the baby. Perfect. You wrap the kilt around your hips. The corner tucks flat under the belt. You stroke the pleats so they lie straight. You tug the hem to the correct length. Not too high, not in the way. You add a sash, white on white, because why not be extra for a god? This is the world's cleanest look. A small thing, but it matters. Here is another steady fact. Priests in this land wear white linen to show purity. No wool here. Wool is for outside life. Inside, it is all plant fiber, clean and cool. The stone walls like it that way. You lift a simple collar of linen bands and set it flat around your neck. No heavy gold for this work. That is for festivals and kings. This hour asks for calm. You do slide on one ring. Carries a tiny feather mark. A joke to yourself. Be light. Be in balance. Your fingers trace it once. You let your hand fall. You pick up a small cosmetic spoon. It is carved in the shape of a girl in a boat. She holds a lotus that once held perfume. Someone made it just to be lovely. That is a thing here. Even tools like a laugh. You set it down. Your hands smell like flowers now, even though you did not use them. Magic, or nose tricks. You brush dust from your sandals and set them near the door. You will wear them across the courtyards. Then you will leave them. Bare feet touch holy floors. That is the rule. The stone will initially feel cool, then warm. Your skin remembers the map of the halls. Historians still argue whether everyone went barefoot in all inner rooms or if socks of woven fiber were used on cold days. But your toes know their job. A fringe story to file away for later. Some folks smear a little crocodile dung mixed with oil as a kind of sun shield or bug block, or as a love lifeguard. People tried many things before the invention of shade and fans. You are not putting that near your face, ever. Hard pass. But you will tease your friend about it next time he brags about his new skincare. You check yourself in the mirror again. The bronze smiles back. The kohl rings your eyes. The linen sits sharply. The oil gives you a soft shine, not a sticky one. You look like you belong in a wall painting and also like you could nap on a cool step. Both are correct. You exhale slowly and feel your chest settle. The novice folds the now dry shaving cloth. He tucks the tweezers into a small leather pouch. He puts the kohl stick back into its tube. Everything has a place. That is half of temple life. Put things where they go. Keep them clean. Keep them ready. Even your thoughts feel folded right now. You run your palm down the front of your kilt one last time. Flat. You lift the belt and tighten it a bit. You dare a tiny hip wiggle to make sure the knot holds. It does. The cat judges you for that. You accept your fate. You lift your lamp. The flame leans toward the door, as if it is eager to. You open the door a hand's width and listen. The lake wind is gone. The courtyards hold a hush that has weight. Somewhere a door bar shifts. Somewhere a guard coughs into his cloak. The sky at the top of the walls is almost silver now. A line of pink hides behind the pylons, waiting to jump. You step out. The linen whispers around your legs. The air kisses the oil on your skin and cools you for a moment. You feel clean down to your bones. You think the old steps crowd around your feet. You are trimmed, oiled, and wrapped like a bright promise. You head toward the sealed doors where cords and clay wait like sleeping snakes. Your hands are steady. Your breath is slow. The morning is ready to open. So are you. You cross the cool court with soft steps. The lamps are thin. The sky grows pearl above the pylons. Ahead, the inner doors stand shut. Thick wood, dark grain. The cords hang tight across them. Clay seals grip the knots like little moons. Each seal bears a press sign. Falcon. A ring with a king's name. A feather. You feel the quiet gather here. It is heavy but kind. A scribe waits beside the door. He has a wooden board on his knees. A little jar of ink sits in a carved hole. His reed pen looks like a thin tooth. He has not had bread yet either. You share a look of brave hunger. He nods at you closely. He checks your hands for dust. None. He points to the seals. You both lean in. The clay is dry and tight. No cracks. No odd smears. The cords are linen and twist like thin snakes. The stamp marks match the list from last night. The scribe reads them under his breath. He taps each one. His finger is ink black. He marks his papyrus with short notes. Time. Names. All neat. He is the memory of the door. You stand to the side and breathe slowly. You cannot rush this. The door keeps the night in the holy room. It also keeps the world out. You are about to step between. You feel the line like a thread under your foot. Another priest arrives. He carries a small knife and a simple wooden mallet. He bows his head once. You return it. He takes his place at the left cord. You take the right. The scribe speaks a line. His voice is sand-soft. Seals noted. Hands pure. Time near. The water clock in the shadow croons its drip. Counts the last moments of the night. You wait for the exact cue. On the roof, a watcher peers east with a sighting rod. He tracks the first flick of the sun. He will call when RA lifts his lid. Historians still argue whether you should open right at first light or a breath before, to greet the sun inside, or a breath after, to catch the first pink in the room. Your house follows the roof call. When the roof says now, you move. You hold the cord. The clay is cool. It smells like river mud and a bit of smoke. You slide the knife under the strand, far from the stamp, one clean tug. The clay pops, a tiny sound, like a nutshell. The scribe nods. He catches the broken seal in a bowl. He will keep the bits till noon. He says it helps with counts, or luck, or both. You cut the second cord. The other priest does the third. The seals fall one by one. Each little pop sounds loud in the still hall. You try to breathe quietly. You end up holding your breath like you are opening a bag of chips in a library. The cat slips in and sits by the scribe. It stares at the bowl like the clay is stew. It is not. The cat looks offended. Now the bolts. Thick wood bars nest in deep slots. They are cedar, banded with bronze. The smell of old sap lifts as you touch them. You both set hands on the near bar. It does not budge. You set feet. Push. It scrapes with a low groan. The sound runs up the door and into the stone. You wince. The sound is your knee on a cold day. You and the door are the same age for a breath. You try not to laugh. Not the time. The first bar thumps free. The second follows more easily. The scribe rubs a dab of fat into the slot for later. Doors need care like skin does. The top latch is high. You reach up and feel the smooth notch. It drops with a soft clack. The air shifts. The door breathes once. A thin line of cool spills out to taste the court. A quick fact to pocket. Many inner doors pivot on wooden pins set into sockets in the sill and lintel. No metal hinges at this point, just wood on stone. A smear of oil or fat keeps the turn sweet. You press your palm to the right leaf. The grain ripples under your skin. You wait. On the roof, the watcher sends the word. A slow call slips down the stairs. Now. The scribe lifts his hand. You and your partner push together. The door moves like a thought you almost forgot. Slow. Reluctant. Then yes. A breath of dark air comes out around your ankles. Smells like cedar, cool ash, and the passage of time. You do not step over the threshold yet. You never tread on the raised strip of stone. You lift your foot and set it beyond. The floor beyond is smoother than glass for many feet. Generations wore it softly. Remember to move at a measured pace. Left foot, pause. Right foot, pause. You count to keep your brain quiet. The room receives each step like a gift. Inside, the light is not what it seems. It is the idea of light. The roof beams drink dawn and give it back very slowly. The inner air feels thick. It has weight. It holds old smoke. It holds many words. Your breath finds a smaller shape here. You keep your eyes low. Not from fear, from respect. You pass carved walls that show you the right things. Offerings, feathers of Ma'at, small boats with tall sails, kings who bless. Some spots glow faintly where hands have brushed for years. You do not touch. Not yet. Touch tomorrow. Touch later. Not now. Another odd thing to note while you count your feet. Some storerooms and side doors use giant wooden keys. They look like a toothbrush for a giant. Teeth at the end press pins up inside the lock. The key slides in and you wiggle. The pins lift. The bolt slides. It is the grandparent of the modern lock. Yours hangs on a peg by the wall. Not for this door, but you always like the look. You feel like a tiny wizard with a very clunky wand. You reach the inner pair. This is the naos, the little house around the god. The wood is darker here. The panels have tiny gold studs that wink in the thin lamplight. A fine linen curtain hangs across the narrow gap. Last night, the chief priest tied it shut with a neat knot. The knot sits like a mouth that says, "Shoo!" You stop a careful few paces away. You do not touch the naos yet. The scribe has followed to the threshold. He cannot come farther. He clears his throat very quietly. He notes the time again. He seems to breathe less here. You feel the same. The room teaches you how to act. Historians still argue whether one person alone should open the naos, or a small team, or if a high priest must always lead. In some places, rules change with the god, the city, or the year. Today, the task is yours to start and your partner's to witness. You feel both light and heavy. You wait for the next small sign. A bar of pink sneaks down the hall behind you, touches the threshold and stops. It will not reach this far. The naos lives in its own night. That is fine. The god does not need the sun to wake. You need it. Keeps your head from feeling too wide. You set down your lamp on a low stand. The flame licks the bronze rim. It shines a soft cone on the floor. Enough to see the knot. Not enough to crowd the dark. You lift both hands and hold them steady, palms forward. You whisper a line about pure hands and clean breath. Your mouth tastes of natron and oil. Good. You make your measured approach. 3 small steps. Pause. Bow. 3 more. Stop. Your toes line up with a mark on the floor. Only you and a few others see that mark. It is worn thin. It knows your feet. Your heart goes drum, but slow. You ease a breath in and out. The room breathes with you, or you imagine it. Feels true either way. The tie on the curtain was sealed last night with a tiny dab of clay. The dab bears a feather. You set a fingernail to it and lift. Cracks. The sound is like ice far away. You set the crumb in a small dish. The scribe will note that too. You rub the linen between your fingers and thumb. It is as smooth as water. You slide the knot loose with care. Do not tug. Do not pull too hard. The thread has its own pride. It works with you. Falls open. No, you do not fling the curtain back like you found a surprise cake. You ease it to the side. The air beyond is still. Presses cool against your cheeks. A faint resin smell slips out. Not smoke. Something older. Myrrh. Cedar. Faint honey. Your skin wakes in a new way. You keep your hands at the height of your chest. You keep your voice quiet. You say nothing yet. Your future words sit in your mouth like birds on a branch. You reach for the door leaves of the naos. They are small compared to the hall doors, but they feel like a mountain. You lay your fingers on the left leaf. The wood is warm from the days of old. You give a tiny push. It yields. A thread of deeper dark opens. Your coal rings absorb what light you have. Your eyes make shapes. A shelf. A box base. A hint of gold. You stop. Do not rush. You look to your partner. He stands with head bowed. He nods once. He watches your breath more than your hands. You both wait. The room waits. The world outside brightens by a shade. A bird argues with another bird in the court. The cat sneezes again, helpful as ever. One last check. Your feet are where they should be. Your shoulders are loose. Your heart is steady. You listen to your own hurry. You put it down. You feel the exact right moment arrive like a soft step. You open the naos doors with the span of your hand. Not more. Just enough to let the morning find the god. Not yet a greeting. Only a little air. The doors breathe open. The cedar sighs. The dark within rests like a quiet lake. You keep still and let it be. The first act is done. The day has come into the room. You have unwrapped the morning without tearing the paper. You let your hands fall, slow. The silence thanks you. You stand before the crack of the naos with your breath slow and your hands steady. The air on your face is calm, cedar sweet, and quiet. You widen the doors one finger more. Just a thin slip, enough to show respect, not enough to brag. The dark inside feels awake now. You think it leans toward you like a listener. You bow, not a little nod, a real bow. You bend at the waist, then you kneel. Your knees find the exact smooth spot that others have found. Your forehead kisses the stone. The floor is cool and clean. It smells faintly of oil, like a well-behaved lamp. You make the 4 bows, then the long one. Your spine knows the dance. Your breath moves in a small wave. You rise to sit. Your palms lift, open and empty. You speak one line, barely above a breath. I come clean. I come with an order. The words are made of linen and air. They hang and then settle, soft as dust, but clean dust. Outside, the world brightens. A thin ribbon of pink slides along the far wall, stops, and waits. Dawn is patient when needed. You reach the small stand beside you. A tiny figure rests there on a folded cloth. She is Maya, truth with a face. A girl as still as a thought, perched with a long feather on her head. The figure is small enough to hide in your palm. Wood under gold leaf. A little chip by one ankle where life nicked her long ago. A dot of beeswax holds the feather firm. Side note for your inner trivia dragon. People here say bees were born from the tears of RA. So the world's first glue was basically sunlight crying. Handy and poetic. You cradle Ma'at in both hands. Your fingers touch only the base. You never grab a god by the knees. That is not a mood you want to set. You lift the figure to your brow. Your eyes close for a slow breath. You feel the warmth of the wood under your skin. You could swear the feather lightens the air. Or you are lightheaded from not eating yet. Either way, it works. You take 3 tiny steps forward, staying behind the mark on the floor. Your partner remains 1 pace back, hands raised, eyes low. The scribe is a shadow at the threshold. He scratches nothing now. This is the part that does not go on papyrus. It goes on air. You hold Ma'at forward with straight arms. Your elbows do not shake. Well, they shake a tiny bit because you are human, and also because the cat sneezed again and made your heart jump. You aim your eyes into the dim. The inner shape waits there. The outline of a seated form. A glint of inlay. A very slow gleam slides along a cheek, then vanishes. The god is in there. You feel it the way you think about the weather. You speak the first hymn. You do not rush. Each phrase is a footstep, and each footstep lands where someone drew a path long before you. Awake in peace. Awake in sweetness. Awake, great one. The sky leans toward you. The river speaks your name. Your face is bright even in shadow. Your house is ready. Your voice is a good lamp. Not loud, just steady. If your voice cracked now, you would win the least chill priest award. You keep it smooth. The words find the wood. The wood drinks them and gives them back as a feeling. Here is a solid fact to keep in mind. In these temples, the first offering of the day is Ma'at. Not beer, not bread. Order it yourself. Truth itself. People carve scenes of the king handing the tiny goddess to the high gods. In life, priests serve the king. You are the king's stand-in now. You try to appear as if you know what you are doing. You mostly do. The rest is posture. Historians still argue whether this offering is always a real statue like the one in your hands, or if sometimes it was a gesture, an idea made with words, or a feather shown for a breath and then gone. Your temple likes objects you can hold. Your fingers say thank you. Your nerves like something to grip. You pause and listen, not for a sound, for a shift. The air seems to settle around your wrists. Your shoulders let go of an old knot. You feel taller inside your skin. You lower the figure a little, to the height of the god's gaze. You hold it there. Your arms begin to feel the slow burn of holy gym class. You keep still. This is the gift before all gifts. If you got only one thing right today, this would be it. A fringe tidbit floats up in your mind, and you let it pass like a fish in clear water. Some old charms say a single ostrich feather, laid flat on a tongue, could make a lie taste like grit. You have never tried it. You do not plan to. You like your breakfast grit-free. You also want your job. You set the little statue back on the folded cloth, hands careful and sure. You do not turn your back on the naos. You step back the way you came, heel then toe slowly. Your eyes hold the gap. Your lids half lower, a sign of respect and a trick to keep the dark kind. Your partner breathes out so softly you feel it more than hear it. He steps up to the mirror to see you. 2 hands present 2 palms. 2 small bows repeat the words you spoke like a round sung by 2 people who do not want to wake the baby next door. Outside, the light climbs the wall with 1 hand. It never reaches here. The inner space has its own dawn. You sense it more than see it. A little weight lifts from the room, like a bird that was sitting on the rafters and chose a new perch. The smell shifts 1 note sweeter. You do not grin, but something inside you does a quiet fist pump. No confetti, no trumpets, yet the world clicks into place by a hair. Another clear point for your pocket. The daily right exists to keep the world steady. People call that steady thing ma'at. It is a balance. It is the right weight on every scale. It is why the sun shows up and the river remembers how to bend. You just offered that back to the source, and even trade tiny and huge. You make a low ring with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. It is not a whistle. It is a secret dot of sound. Your teacher said it keeps your breath even. It also keeps your mind from jumping like a goat. You may not know if it is a scientific phenomenon or just a habit. It works. Goat brain sits. You whisper the close of the hymn. May you rise happy. May your feet find the day. May your face meet the sweet wind. Your coal edges the words in black. They feel firm. You see, or think you see, a spark of light roll across the inner gold edge. It might be your lamp. It might be the god blinking. You accept either. You move on. You lift your hands to shoulder height. Palms forward. Fingers long. You hold there while you count 7 slow heartbeats. Your teacher loved the number 7. It tastes good, he said. Count it. You do. Your pulse keeps time. Your thoughts line up and stand in rows like bread on trays. Your stomach remembers bread and tries to cheer. Not yet, pal. Historians still argue whether the first hymn had fixed words here or if each house sang a local version. The carvings keep the scenes. The scrolls keep parts of the speech. The rest is breath and memory. Your words belong to this room the way your headrest belongs to your neck. Curved to fit. Hard to explain to a stranger. Good once you try it. The little ma'at figure winks at you from her cloth. The feather looks very brave for a stick on a hat. You almost smile. You do not. A tiny smile is pleasing. A big grin would be weird right now. Save that for the kitchen later. They do a joke with the beer foam that always wins. You keep the doors just as they are. You haven't opened them wide yet. That is later. There are steps in order and you like order today. Your partner takes a careful half step to the side. He will help when the time comes to move closer. Not yet. First, the room has to learn you again. You have to learn the room again. It is an ancient friendship. You do not rush old friends. Your hands drop to your sides. You feel the slight pull of oil on your skin. The linen breathes. The floor holds you up like a good raft. You think of the water clock out in the hall. Drip, drip, takes great pride in its job. You envy that a little. One more breath. You look at the gap, then the cloth, then your hands. You check your fingers for shaking. Steady. Good. You feel deep down that the day has its balance now. The tiny feather found a home early. That makes everything else easier. It is like putting your keys where they belong so you don't tear the house apart later. You once lost a temple key for an hour. You will never tell anyone about that again. Ever. You have not fetched the incense yet. That belongs to the next part. You haven't brought water yet either. That is also ahead. Right now, you hold still and let the greeting settle, like silt in calm water. The air clears, the silence smooths. Even the cat sits and acts like it planned this whole thing. You lower your chin and whisper one last line you love. Truth is small and strong. The words feel right. The feather rests. The god rests. You rest. Then you stand, ready to move on. You signal for water. The novice glides in with a low basin and 2 narrow-neck jars. The clay shines like a wet seed. The water is cold from the sacred lake. It shivers in the lamplight. You touch the rim and feel the tiny bumps where fingers shaped it long ago. You nod thanks. He steps back and breathes like a mouse. The hall listens. You lift the first jar. It is heavier than it looks. Your hands remember the weight. Your shoulders remember last month's duty. Ancient gym membership. No towel, no mint water, just you in a jar. You smile to yourself and keep your face calm. You tip the mouth of the jar and pour a thin ribbon onto the floor. The water runs like glass that forgot to harden. It spreads in a neat line at the foot of the naos. You speak the libation words. Cool water to your ka. Cool water to your heart. The sound is soft, the floor drinks. The air cools a breath. You pour again. Little arcs, little streams. You make a path of sweet damp all the way to the threshold. Your feet will follow that path in a bit. For now, it shines like a sign. You set the first jar down and take the second. This one is for washing. You trickle water onto a folded cloth and sweep the stone with slow hands. The fabric makes a hush-hush sound. Dust rises, then gives up. You swipe each tile and the tiny seams between. You clean the place where your forehead bowed. You clean the dim spot where a foot once scuffed years ago. The cat wanders in, tests a wet patch, and decides against it. Even cats respect just mopped. You empty the rest of the jar into the basin. You dip your fingers and flick water along the lower walls. Not a splash, just kiss-soft drops. They catch the lamp glow and look like stars falling up. You do this to wake the carvings. Little anks, little feathers, little boats on stone. They flash, then calm. You like this part. It feels like a blessing with a paintbrush made of rain. You rinse your hands in the basin and shake them once, carefully and slowly. A tiny arc falls and fades. The novice steps in with a palm fiber broom. You take it and guide the last streaks toward the drain hole in the corner. Yes, temples have clever drains. No, you will not go on about them. But they work, and that makes you love whoever carved the slope in the floor. A steady fact for today: morning rites use pure water drawn from sacred spots. The lake counts, springs count. The river counts if you take it right and bless it right. Many libations call the river by name and ask it to come from Elephantine, the far south, calm and strong. Your lips say the old place names as if they were friends. Historians still debate whether every drop must come from the temple lake, or if blessed river water serves the same purpose, or if a mix is the best approach. Your house trusts the lake for the first pour. Then the river joins later for the people. Feels fair. The world and the god both get a sip. You kneel and check the line of water you laid at the base of the naos. No pools, no mess, just shine. Good. You whisper, "Be cool," to the god. It is a joke with love in it. Your partner does not laugh, but his eye says he heard it. You are both courageous right now. Now the smoke. You gesture, and the novice brings the brazier. It is bronze and sits on a stalk. The bowl holds a little bed of live coals. They look like cherries made of night. The heat brushes your knuckles like a cat's nose. You lay a small mesh over the bowl, the wire hums in the heat. You reach for a jar with a tight lid. Inside are tears, not yours, little bright beads of resin. They look like honey that has learned to sit still. This is frankincense. It came a long way from punt by boat, pack animal, and fatigued feet. A solid fact, this resin is a big deal here. People burn it for gods and for kings. They trade for it over sand and sea. It smells like lemons met pine and decided to dance slowly. You pinch 2 beads and drop them on the mesh. They soften. They shine. Then a thin blue smoke uncurls, like a snake that forgot how to hiss. It climbs and curls, finding the roof beams. It draws lines you could trace with a finger if you were 10 feet tall. You are not. You settle for watching. You lift a hand censer from the table. It is shaped like a palm with a tiny cup in the middle. You set a coal and a bit of resin there, too. You wave your hand in slow arcs. The blue lines follow. You fill the corners. You sweep the corners again. You sweep the floor edge. You sweep the path you will walk. The smoke makes the carved figures appear blurry in your eyes. The room changes from a place to a song. You offer smoke through the naos doors. You do not stick your arm inside like you lost a coin in a couch. You stay back and let the stream drift in on its own. The god can see it coming. The god can smell. You tilt the censer and watch the curl tip over the threshold. It slides like silk. Your coal keeps the sting away from your eyes. Good idea past you. Quirky note for your pocket. People sometimes chew frankincense like gum. It freshens breath. Tastes like a pine tree trying to be candy. You tried it once and made a face. The cat judged you for that too. Still, better than crocodile dung sunscreen. Remember that? We are not doing that ever. We agree. You add one more bead to the bowl. The smoke deepens and turns sweet. Carries a tiny pepper note. The air goes blue and soft. Your voice will ride it soon. Not yet. First, the room must be soaked. The smoke threads through your linen and lives there like a secret. You will smell like this all day. You are not mad about it. Beets smelling like a donkey. You place the censer back on its stand. You fan the smoke with your open palm, gentle as a moth. You think of a thing your teacher said. Smoke is a rope you throw to the sky. It does feel like that. A rope of blue. A climb for prayers. A way to tie morning to noon so it does not wander off. Historians still debate whether morning always meant frankincense, with myrrh at noon and kiffy at night, or whether each temple mixed the order, used what was available, or followed the mood of the god. Your house loves the classic trio. Today is frankincense. Noon will glow with myrrh. Night will taste like wine-sweet kiffy. You can almost feel each hour from here. You touch the water bowl again and flick a few last drops. One hits your lower lip by accident. Tastes like stone and stars. You take that as a win. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand, quiet as a cloud. The scribe out in the hall coughs once. He is not allowed to enjoy the smoke as much as you, poor friend. You will bring him a bread heel later. The floor shines now. The air sings. The naos sits like a dark flower with dew on its petals. You bow once more, not deep, just a hello bow for this part. Your partner checks the coals with a small iron pick. They glow like tiny suns. He smiles without teeth. The cat flops at the threshold and becomes a puddle of fur. Even the cat loves a spa day. A fringe whisper floats by. Some say priests wore a small linen over the mouth to avoid breathing on the god. Here may be, maybe not. You do not wear one now. You keep your breath low and your head turned slightly, which achieves the same effect. Respect is in the angle. The basin is empty. The jars are light. You set them aside. The broom goes back to its hook. A last ribbon of smoke makes a figure eight above the lamp and then breaks. You watch it fail and feel a sense of calm. You have washed the floor. You have poured the libation. You have fed the air. The room is ready for hands to move closer. You slide your feet along the damp line to test grip. No slip. Good. Your palms are dry now, but they remember the water. Your nose is happy. Your eyes feel sharp. Your mind is smooth. You keep your jokes tucked in your sleeve. Well, one more. If this smoke were a candle in a store, it would be called Ancient Morning, with notes of pine, lemon, and not getting fired. You would buy that, too, for your friends. You glance at the naos. The gap holds steady. The gold inside waits. The sweet air folds around your shoulders like soft linen. The day leans in. You are almost ready to touch what needs dressing. Not yet. One more breath. One more slow pass of your hand, shaping the smoke as if it listens. It does. Everything listens here. You ease the curtain wider. The naos breathes a cool sigh. Inside, the god sits small and bright in the dark. Wood under gold. Eyes of clear stone. A tiny cobra rises on the brow. The face is calm and a little scary, like a river at night. You bow once. Your hands float, palms open. You step to your mark. Your heart remembers how to slow. You lift a clean cloth. The linen is soft and tightly woven. You wet one corner of the basin you set aside. Not a flood, just a kiss of water. You wipe the cheeks, the brow, the chin. Tiny moves. No rub. No scratch. You sweep dust from the ears. You clean the shoulders where last night's smoke rested. The gold wakes and glows a shade warmer. You breathe out. So far, so good. You have become a stylist for a god. No pressure at all. You mix a grain of natron with a drop of water on your palm. You touch it to your lips, then to the eyes and the ears. Quick taps. A hello to the senses. Some houses refer to this as the mouth opening. Historians still debate whether the opening of the mouth rite was performed daily or only on special occasions. You keep it small. You let the idea do the work. You take a tiny brush of rush fiber. You dip it in clean oil. You stroke the statue's wig lines to lay stray dust flat. The brush whispers. The wig is carved from wood. It smells like cedar and smoke. A faint crack runs near one curl. You dab beeswax there with a finger. The wax warms and fills the line. Bees to the rescue again. You reach for a narrow jar. Myrrh sits inside, thick and sweet. You roll a drop between your fingers. You blot it on the statue's throat, chest, and temples, just dots. The room gains a honey amber note. You add a hint of lotus oil to the shoulders. The mix smells like night air by the lake. You think of the cat rolling in that scent and trying to own it. You smile inside. An apparent fact to tuck away. The daily rite washes, anoints, and dresses the god statue. This is not a one-off show. This is how the world keeps its balance here. Scenes cut in stone show priests holding oil jars, collars, and linen before a small seated form. Your hands repeat those pictures now. You set the oil down and reach for the coal. You made a fresh paste earlier, black as night. You lift the tiny stick. You do not draw on gold. You dust the brush with a breath and then touch above the eyes, right where the inlay meets the brow. Not a line, a suggestion. It is a shade cue. It makes the gaze look alive from where you stand. Quirky note. Some statues feature inlaid eyes of crystal and obsidian, making them look remarkably lifelike. Yours does. The eyes catch your lamp and make a tiny star. You warm a dot of red ochre on your fingertip. You tap it lightly on your lips. Not for glam, for life. Red means living. A whisper of color does the job. You pull your hand away as if you had touched a hot pan. Safe. Now the linen. You open the chest at your left. Inside, folds lie like stacked clouds. You pick the underclothes first. It is thin and cool. You slide it up with both hands. You speak a small line as you lift. May your body be fresh. Your partner steadies the base while you tie the soft ties at the back. Your knot sits flat. Your hands stay slow. They are steady enough to calm thunder. You almost chuckle at that. You do not. Not here. You choose the main robe. It is white and bright. The pleat lines are sharp. They were set with smooth stones and patience. You shake it once. The rustling sounds like rain far in the distance. You pass it forward. You slip it around the shoulders. You smooth it down the chest with long palms. No wrinkles. Wrinkles are chaos. You tuck the hem tight at the back. A narrow sash goes next. You wrap it and knot it clean. The bow hides under the arm. You pat it once. The god does not need to trip on extra ribbon. You add a short cape, light as breath. It falls just past the shoulders, catches smoke like a net and makes the gold look warmer. You step back a half pace and look. Linen, gold, calm. The room feels like a held note. Jewelry next. The collar sits in its own box. Rows of blue and green beads rimmed with tiny gold. Faience glows like wet leaves. Another fact to note, faience is ground sand fired with a glassy coating. It shines like water and sky. People love it for collars. You lift the piece with both hands. Clinks like rain on pots. You set it around the neck and fasten the rear tie with a dab of beeswax. You never want to hear clink crash here. If you drop one bead, you will invent a new dance called the panic shuffle. Let's not. Armlets go next. Two slim bands with dangles like little petals. They sit high on the upper arms. Bracelets follow. They hug the wrists. You slide a ring over a carved finger. A tiny ankh charm hangs from it. You nudge it to lie flat. It listens. Thank you, charm. You bring the sash chain. It is made of gold and faience, woven together. It loops the waist and hangs a little in front. A small feather charm rests at the center. Of course, Maat stays close today. You touch the charm. You think of the tiny statue from earlier. Order dresses. Cute. Regalia now. In this house, the god holds a crook and a flail on feast days. For daily use, the hand has a staff, long and straight, with a neat, forked base. You offer the staff to the right hand. The fingers were carved to fit it. You slide it in place and feel the balance. Good. You tuck a tiny ankh into the left hand. Life in one hand, power in the other. Classic. A false beard waits on a peg, braided and tipped with gold. It ties behind the ears with a fine cord. You lift it and test the strap. You warm a grain of wax and dab it under the chin. You set the beard and press the tie. The braid sits proud and proper. You step back. The face has changed by a hair. It looks older and kinder at the same time. The crown now is a big choice. The daily crown is simple, a short cap with a ribbon and a cobra at the brow. Feasts bring the tall white crown, or the red, or the plume de tef. Not today. Today you take the cap out of its box. You turn it once to check the rim for nicks. None. You set it down with 2 fingers guiding the front cobra. The snake's tiny hood lines between the eyes. It stares where you stare. Power meet power. A fringe story. Some keep a spare set of tiny sandals for the god. They sit in the chest like doll shoes, but with pride. Yours are palm fiber with gold trim. You set them on the base near the carved feet. You grin inside. The god does not walk in them. The idea walks. That is enough. You check ties. You check the beads. You recheck the sash bow because bows live to betray you all firm. You smooth the robe once more. Your palm makes a soft shhh that the stones like. The room feels taller now. The statue shines as if it were lit from within. Historians still debate whether real cosmetics were applied to the gold each day or if priests merely held the brush close as a sign. Your house touches, but light as breath. You have a steady hand and a short list of oops. You keep that list short on purpose. You look at the god's eyes. The pupils catch your lamp once and give it back as a dot. You feel the dot in your chest. You whisper a line. See the day. Be glad. The dot grows a bit. You accept the idea. Belief is a tool here. It works like a key. One more pass with the incense hand. You draw a slow loop before the face. The smoke drapes like blue silk and then unwinds. You fan it with your palm toward the gold. Not too close. Your coal buys you grace. Your eyes do not sting. Thank you, science and style. You bring a fresh cloth and press it to the base, where a drop of oil has slid. You lift it away. Clean. You place tiny perfume cones in a dish to the side. They will melt later and make the room sweet again. Yes, like the party cones on heads, but small and less messy. And no, you are still not using anything made of crocodile dung. The god can have the best without that. Your partner checks the corner of the collar. He nods. He whispers one word. True. You nod back. You both step back to the line. You do not turn your back. Not yet. You bow from the waist. Your hands slide to your sides. The linen whispers. The smoke writes slow shapes above you. You hold the bow a heartbeat longer than you need. You come up. You let the curtain fall half closed. Not all the way. The god is dressed. The morning has a spine now. The following acts will sit on it just fine. You breathe. Your hands tingle. You flex your fingers once. They did not shake. Not this time. Thunder stays calm. In the hall, the scribe shifts. His board creaks. He pretends not to sniff the sweet air. You send him a look that says later. Later, there will be bread. Soon there will be plates on a low table. But not yet. You keep to your steps. You have tied the day tight with linen and light. You feel the knot hold. Trays arrive like little moons carried on arms. You hear the soft clink from the kitchens. Pans knock. Knives tap. Steam sighs. The smell of warm bread walks in first. It finds your nose and bows. Your stomach claps, rude and honest. You give it a look. Later, a stand waits before the naos. Stone. Smooth. A shallow lip runs around it. A channel dips toward a tiny spout. The maker's thought of spills. You lay a white cloth over the top. You pull it tight and flat. No ripples. You set 2 small loaves at the back. Tall. Cone-shaped. Their tops crack like old pottery, but soft. You add round loaves in tidy rows. They look like little suns. The kitchen makes them from emmer and barley. Some are dense, made for beer. Some are light, baked for the table. Your hands know where each shape goes. The pattern matters. Order feeds order. You crack a clay seal on a beer jar. Pops like a tiny kiss. Foam rises fast, then settles like it remembers its place. The beer is thick, almost a meal by itself. It smells like toast and date honey. You pour it into small cups that look like flower buds. You wipe the jar lip with the corner of your cloth. You do not taste. You do not sniff again. You are a rock. A very hungry rock. Yes, beer for breakfast. Don't tell your fitness app. It will judge you like a cat does. A boy sets down a platter of meat beside you. He backs out, light on his feet. On the tray, a roast goose glows with a shy sheen. A haunch of beef rests on a bed of green leaves. The fat clicks softly as it cools. You lay the meat near the center. You set the goose to its left. The smell is rich and deep. It makes the room feel warmer. Historians still debate whether fresh meat was offered at the altar every morning or only on special occasions, when the temple had a significant offering. Your house does what it can. Today is a good day. You bring fish too, but never for this god. Some houses ban fish in this room. Old stories blame a fish for a bad moment in a myth. You respect the story. You offer other gifts. You add ducks, quail, a pair of tiny ribs, polished like smooth wood. You keep it neat. No sauce drips, no bone out of place. You dab away a ruby drop with the edge of your cloth. Clean wins. Fruit comes next. Figs, slit and open like little hearts. Dates, dark and sticky. Grapes, still dusted with bloom. You add palm nuts for crunch and a joke for teeth. You set a bowl of green lettuce, tall and crisp. A simple fact with a blush. That lettuce links to a god of life and strength. People say it is, spirited. The milky sap made folks nod and grin. You keep your face calm. It is a salad. A mighty salad. You place it anyway. You cut a few onions. You put them in a ring like a white flower. You might cry. You say it is the smoke. You pour water into a clean bowl. You add a dash of wine from a small jar. Red, sweet. The smell lifts and dances with the incense. You speak the libation line as you pour a thread along the edge of the table. Cool water for your ka. The wet line shines and runs toward the spout. The groove catches it. The stone understands its job. You hold your hands over the loaves, your palms buzz. You say the old formula. You do not chant fast. You speak it like you place stones one by one. An offering the king gives, bread and beer, ox and fowl, alabaster and linen, every good and pure thing, every day. The words are old. They fit any morning. They fit this one exactly. Your voice barely disturbs the smoke. It threads through the cups and slips around the goose. It leaves tiny blue ribbons in its wake. You lift a lotus and set it between the bread and the beer. You add a second one near the fruit bowl. The flowers look sleepy. The petals are not open yet. They will open as the light grows. You love that. The room will change in small ways you can see. You fan the air with your palm so the scent lands on the loaves. Smell is a path. The god follows it. The cat parks under the table and tries to look as invisible as possible. It is not. You slide your foot to block a paw from testing a quail leg. The paw withdraws with dignity. You mouth the word no without sound. The cat glares. You are on thin ice with your line manager. A quick, solid fact. Temples run on offerings like this. Bread and beer are the stars. People see them carved on walls and on stone tablets. After the rite, the food is not discarded. It is shared. Staff eat it. Families get it. It feeds the living after it has fed the god's spirit. They call that the reversion of offerings. The full circle keeps the town going. You like a plan that feeds both worlds. You whisper a side prayer. Just a sentence. May people be full today. Your mouth tastes like frankincense and hope. You raise the meat platter and pass it through a slow loop of smoke. The fat glistens. The aroma climbs. It hits the roof and comes back down like a soft blanket. You touch the platter to the edge of the naos base. Not a bump, just a kiss. The air accepts the kiss. You set out greens for the eye as well as the belly. Leeks, cucumber, soft herbs tied with a reed string. You trim a ragged leaf that tries to look messy. Not today, leaf. Order first. You tuck lotus buds among them. You set a small dish of salt. Natron rests in another dish, not for eating now, but to bless. Food and purity sit side by side. A quirky tidbit to tuck away. Some pastries here take the shape of eyes. The eye of Horus shows up in bread molds. Each part of that eye stands for a measure of grain. Fractions you can eat. Your math teacher would be proud and slightly confused. You will save those for a feast. Today you keep it simple. You step back and look at the ranks, loaves in back, tall like soldiers. Fruit is bright at the front. Meat is rich at the center. Beer cups glowing like amber pearls. The cloth lies flat as a calm river. The blue smoke writes a lazy S above it all. This is not a buffet. This is a picture. You should hold still. From the kitchen, you hear a pan hiss. You hear a ladle strike a jar rim. The sound rings and fades. A woman laughs low and kindly at a joke. A man hums a short bar of a work song. That world runs beside yours like a twin river. You are grateful for both. You make a silent promise to visit them soon with good news, the day you accept their gifts. The scribe at the threshold watches and writes. He notes counts: 7 tall loaves, 12 rounds, 1 goose, 1 haunch, 2 ducks, 1 bowl of figs, 1 bowl dates, 1 cluster of grapes, 1 bowl of lettuce, 2 onions, 1 bowl of herbs, 3 beer cups, 1 wine splash. He makes neat marks. He will balance this with his store list later. Numbers feed the quiet power of the house. You will check them too when you can eat and think at the same time. Historians still debate whether each temple maintained a fixed menu for each day, or if cooks adjusted items according to the season, floods, and luck. They also debate how much the god ate. Did the god take only scent, only the first essence, or can parts of words be named? You do not argue. You feel the moment shift. You swear the room leans in and then relaxes. That is enough. You place a small carved knife on the table as a sign. Not to cut, to show the meal is ready. You tap the cloth twice with 2 fingers. You say one last short line, barely audible. Take your share. The smoke curls and nods. You wait 3 breaths. The world feels smooth and warm, like bread you just pulled from an oven. You turn half a step and aim the smoke toward the hall. You remember your promise to the scribe. You will bring him a heel later after sharing rules are met. He acts cool, but he can smell this from his bench. You smile in your chest. He deserves a soft piece today. He counted seals with you in the cold. You tidy 1 corner of the cloth. You straighten a grape stem that tried to wander. You wet your finger and pick up a crumb. You flick it to your palm and put it in a bowl for crumbs. Even crumbs matter. They will go to the birds outside. Nothing gets wasted here, not even the small bits. You bow once more to the naos. You keep your hands open and low. You do not turn your back. You slide to the side and make room. In a blink, music will lift the air and chase away any leftover dust of chaos. Not yet. You savor this quiet bite between dressing and song. You love this slight hush. You feel full without food. Well, almost. Your stomach rumbles. You pat it. You whisper, soon. This right here is ancient meal prep at its finest. Your planner would give it 5 stars. The cat provides it 2 because it got 0 quail. Fair. You let the curtain fall a tiny bit more. The god dines in stillness. You stand in that same stillness and feel it feed you, too. The kitchen clinks. The smoke climbs. The loaves wait in ranks like bright little suns. The morning tastes like warm grain and cool air. You hold that taste on your tongue and step back. You hold the quiet a moment longer. Then you lift your hand. A drawer slides open with a hush. Inside lie the tools that control the dust. You choose a sistrum first. It is a small bronze gate with a loop at the top. Thin rods stretch across the frame. Loose metal rings sit on the rods. When you shake, they laugh together. The handle ends in a tiny face. Cow ears. A sweet smile. Hathor watches from your palm. You stand by the offering table. Your feet find a soft stance. 1 heel back. Knees easy. You start the beat for slow pulses. Shake. Pause. Shake, shake. Rest. The sound is bright but kind. It feels like the sun on copper. You keep the pattern steady. The water clock in the hall drips time for you. Drip. Drip. The sistrum answers. Shushhhh. The air begins to glitter. A simple fact. Priests and chantresses use sistrums to soothe gods and to chase off chaos. Hathor loves this sound. Batet smiles at it too. People shake them for joy and for calm. The small storm of metal tells the room, all is well. The naos breathe in a little deeper. The smoke learns the beat, creates slow, elegant curls that match your hand. You nod to your partner. He lifts a pair of clappers. They are carved like hands and forearms, slim and pale. He taps them together in time, soft as rain on leaves. The tap rides under your rattle. The 2 sounds knit a net. Nothing wild slips through. You both move just a little. Not a dance, a sway. Your belts whisper. Your coal stays sharp. You switch hands. The rings chime a new rhythm. It wakes the corners. It climbs the wall and kisses the ceiling beams. The cat sits up, surprised, then decides it meant to do that and washes a paw. Cats are born conductors. They never paid for lessons. You reach for the manat. It appears to be a wide necklace with numerous strings of beads. The back has a heavy counterweight shaped like a shield. You lift it by the counterweight and shake it once. The beads rustle like a small river. You hold the meat high, then low. The sound wraps the sistrum's bright chime with a warm hush. Together, they feel like sunlight on water. Quirky tidbit. The manat is both a necklace and a rattle. People wear it for pleasure, luck, and love. Some women keep one to bless a new baby or to bring comfort to a heavy heart. You have seen old ones hung in doorways to keep a house sweet. It works most of the time, unless the cat knocks it down at 3 a.m. Then nothing works. You sing now, not loud, not fancy, a thread of melody that stays low. You keep the notes near your chest. Come in peace, come in joy. The day is bright, the noise of the night is gone. Your voice sits on the smoke and rides it to the doors. The words mean more than the tune. The tune keeps your words from falling apart. The hall listens. Even the bread seems to lean your way. The scribe stops writing for a heartbeat. He knows this part by heart. Once, when he was small, he hid behind a pillar to hear it. Now he pretends he is too wise for that. He is not. No one is. A clean truth for your pocket. Temples keep singers on staff. People call them chantresses. They train for years. They learn the hymns, the hand moves, the breath. They sing for gods and for the king. Sometimes they sing here, sometimes at the threshold. Historians still debate whether they sang inside the innermost room each day, only on feast days or never beyond the curtain. Your house lets a low song slip in, as long as breath and feet stay pure. You draw the sistrum in arcs. You face the four sides of the room and greet them with sound. East, south, west, north. You shake 3 times for each. You ask each side to behave today. You ask each corner to hold still. The noise of the night, fear, rush, bad dreams, walks out the open door and forgets why it came. You lower the sistrum and lift your hand in the Henu gesture. Arms bent, hands up, palms forward. It looks like you are holding an expansive basket of quiet. You have it steady for a count of 7. Your teacher loved 7. You do too. Keeps you simple. Your partner changes tools. He takes up a soft drum, small as a plate, with a skin tight as morning ice. He taps with fingers, not sticks. The beat is a heartbeat. Dum, dum, dum dum. Your sistrum sits between. Chime, shoot chime. The manat makes the space between the beats feel safe. You step to the naos and draw a ribbon of sound along the crack. You do not push the rings inside. You respect the line. The sound crosses on its own. That is enough. You picture the gods smiling at the familiar ring. You picture the cobra on the brow tasting the air and deciding the world is sweet. A small aside to keep you awake. If you had a playlist, it would be called Calm the Sun, Volume 1. It would have 3 tracks, rattle, hush, and breathe. No skips, no ads, unless you count the cat asking for a duck at bar 16. Hard pass, ma'am. You add words to the beat. Away with isfit. Isfit is the mess, the broken, the oops that grows teeth. You do not shout the word. You fold it into the rhythm and tuck it under the table. It stays there. Sound is glue today. It sticks every loose bit back where it belongs. You think of a pep, the big old snake of night. The books say people stab wax snakes and burn pieces of rope to wreck his plans. Some houses do that in a side room at dawn. Some only say the lines. Historians still debate whether the whole overthrowing a pep drama occurred daily everywhere, or only in major centers or primarily on special nights. You are not stabbing wax today. You are making sound that leaves no room for him to wriggle in. That works fine. You switch to the heavy sistrum. This one is solid cast bronze, not rods and rings. His face is Hathor again, but the top is filled. It makes a deeper, buttery tone. Less sparkle. More purr. You shake slowly and feel it in your wrists. The room hums with you. The smoke flattens and spreads like a sheet. Even the torch near the door burns steadier. You walk a small circle around the stand. You move clockwise. You keep your toes light. The beer cups do not ripple. The goose stays perfect. The grapes look smug. The dust on the top beam decides to sit and think about life. You set the heavy sistrum down and pick up the manat again. You swing the counterweight so it taps your palm and comes back. Tap, swish, tap. Feels like breathing with your hands. Your voice drops to a whisper song. Only God hears it. Maybe the cat. Cats hear everything. They tell no one. A fringe whisper you enjoy. Some say music was so dear to Hathor that even an angry eye of Ra could cool at the sound of the sistrum. The story says the eye once ran hot and wild. Music helped bring her home. You believe it. You have seen a room change with one soft beat. You have seen a man forgive after a song. You have felt your own heart unclench at a note held long. You pause and listen. You ask the air if it needs more. Says a little. You give it a little. You repeat a line 3 times. Quiet. Quieter. Quietest. Silence lands like a bird and stays. You look at the bread. A glaze of warmth shows on the round tops. The lotus opens a finger's width. The beef sighs and stops clicking. The blue smoke sits in a lazy braid. The god's gold holds a calm glow. You did not make any of that happen by yourself, but you helped. That is enough. You place the manat back in its drawer. You lay the sistrums in their bed of soft linen. You do not stack them. They are old and proud. You treat them like sleepy cats. You slide the drawer shut until it clicks. The click feels like a small gesture of thanks. You and your partner bow together. 2 slow bends, 2 long breaths. You let your hands hang and feel the pulse in your fingers slow down. Your wrists tingle. Your shoulders smile. Your legs remember that they are legs, not pillars. Historians still argue whether the melodies changed with the season, with the rise of the river, or with the god's mood. Some say the notes were fixed. Others swear the singer could shape the line if the day asked. You like the middle path. The words are fixed. The breath is yours. That keeps you honest. You glance at the door. Outside, the city wakes. Donkeys bray. Hot cellar calls. A child laughs. None of it pushes through the wall of sound you built. It sits outside like a polite guest. You will let it in later. Not yet. You take one more look at the naos. The curtain hangs just so. The edge of gold inside is quiet, like a lake at noon. Your job for this part is done. You did not drop a bead. You did not bonk the naos with a sistrum. You did not let the cat solo. 3 wins. Someone give you a medal. Or a grape. You do not eat a grape. You straighten the cloth one last time. You smooth a crease that does not exist. Your hand needs to do a thing. Chooses that thing. Fine. Then it rests. You turn your head and feel the room turn with you. The day is set to the correct pitch. The next step will require careful attention and steady feet. You have both now. The dust knows how to settle. The noise knows how to leave. The god knows you brought joy first. You breathe in the last thin thread of frankincense and let it out slowly. You whisper to the air, "Stay sweet." The air agrees. You feel it. You step back into the hush you made and carry it with you, like a quiet drum under your ribs. You motion to the side chapel. The small barque waits there on a low dais. It looks like a boat from a dream. Curved prow, curled stern. A tiny shrine sits in the middle under a canopy. Gold edges catch your lamp and throw quiet stars. 2 long poles run through its lion paw stands. For men can lift it. 6 is kinder. Today you have 6. You are grateful. Your shoulders still remember the goose. You press your palm to the prow and whisper a hello. The wood is cool. The paint smells faintly of resin. You check the cords that strap the shrine to the deck. Tight. You nod to your team. You slide your shoulder under the pole. The pole knows your muscles. It fits the notch above your collarbone like an old story. You lift on breath 3. The barque rises. It floats in the air as your knees straighten. Ancient gym day. No sandals with bounce. No fun playlist. Only breath, steps, and a quiet, "Please don't drop this." You start the circuit. Slow. Even. Heel toe. Heel toe. The floor tells you where it dips by a hair. You keep the boat level. Your partner hums the beat from earlier. The sound holds your feet steady. Blue smoke trails you like a friendly river. You pass the naos and dip the prow a finger. Hello again. You turn into the first hall. Pillars gather like a careful forest. Shadows sit between them and pretend to be walls. You thread the rows. Your shoulder burns a little. You welcome the burn. Keeps you here. A scribe walks ahead with a basket full of slips. Ostraca. Shards of pottery with ink. Pages for people who cannot buy papyrus like clouds. Questions fill the basket. Names, problems, hopes. The scribe will read them to the god's face in a moment. The helper behind him carries a second basket. It holds a little jar of water and a brush. If the god answers yes, the scribe will mark the slip with a small sign. If no, another sign. If I wait a third, you hope for clear tilts. You do not control them. You only hold steady and listen. A notable fact to keep in mind, oracles here answer many things. Work disputes at Deir el Medina. Land fights, sick children. Who took my chisel? Is this oath true? Should I travel? People write. Priests carry. The god nods by tilting. Oracles even make steely with full rulings. They call those oracular decrees. Stone remembers what breath cannot. You slow at the threshold to the great court. The light there is brighter, but still soft. People wait at the far side, outside the ropes. They keep their hands low out of respect. Some bow their heads. Some press fingers to lips. A woman holds a little basket with a fig and a flower. A boy clutches an ostrakhan as if it might fly away. You feel the edge of their hope and try not to breathe too loudly. Hope hears. You keep the barque inside the line of pillars. The questions come to you. The scribe reads each one in a low voice. He reads the name. He reads the words. He holds the slip up. He looks at your feet to keep time even. He looks at the prow to watch for tiny answers. You all become a single ear. The first asks, "Did my neighbor cut my irrigation rope?" You keep the barque level. You do not think your own thoughts. You let the wood answer. The prow dips a hair. Your shoulder feels it. The scribe sees it. He marks the slip with a yes sign and ties a reed to it for later reference. The neighbor will talk to the temple law. The rope will get fixed. The river will be fair again. The next question asks, "Will the baby live?" Your lips press tight. The hull stays steady. You feel nothing for 3 steps, then a slow tip back. "Not yet," the code says. "Ask again after a rite." The scribe adds the weight mark and a note to bring oil to a side chapel. Your throat goes dry. You swallow and keep the beat. Historians still argue whether the tilt code was fixed across all houses, or if each temple used its own yes and no, or if a priest's left shoulder meant one thing on a flood day and another on a harvest day. They also argue whether hands ever guided the tilt on purpose. You know this, your job is to hold. You keep your breath even and your knees soft. You let the boat tell you what it wants. Another slip. "Did I swear true in court?" Forward, neat and small. "Yes." The scribe smiles with his eyes. He marks the bit of pot and nods toward the man waiting outside. The man drops his head and covers his face. Tears, maybe. Relief tastes like salt, too. A quirky sight lifts the corner of your mouth. On the far wall, an old stela shows a god with 20 tiny ears carved around his head. People call them hearing ear stelae. They were set up so the god could not miss your voice. 100 ears to catch one small plea. You love the idea. If you could, you would wear one to see jokes and save them for later. You resist. Your belt would be jealous. You begin the circle of the court. Slow. Measured. The barque asks for even steps. The poles creak a hair. The sound is not a complaint. It is the wood saying, "I am here." You pass near the rope. The scribe reads out 3 quick slips. "Should I plant today? Will my sister heal? Did the builder take a bribe?" The boat stays level, then nods, then tilts back. You do not judge the last one. You only breathe. The law team will take that slip to the proper bench. A boy calls, "Great one, look at me." His mother hushes him. She bows 3 times. She looks scared that you will be angry with her. You are not. You were that loud once, too. The scribe lifts a hand to show it is fine. The boy hides behind her kilt and peeks. You keep your face calm so he will remember this as a pleasant experience. You turn the far corner and pass a statue of the king. His face stares past you like he sees the end of the river. You like him. He never shifts his weight on you. You like everyone who does that. You stop at a side door for the listening rest. You lower the poles to a yoke stand. The barque sits. Your shoulders sigh. You flex your fingers. They spark with pins and needles. You do not shake your arms like a goose. You are in a temple. You roll your shoulders once and grin inside. Ancient CrossFit, level, divine. The scribe brings 3 tied bundles. They are heavier. Long cases. Disputes that need more words. He opens the first with a cord hook. He reads a whole page. A landline. A lost marker. A brother's word against a cousin. He sets the sheet on the barque deck. He holds a reed pen over 2 small boxes with yes and no written. He looks at you. You lift again. You take 3 steps. The prow tips forward and holds for 1 heartbeat. Enough. He marks yes and reads the ruling aloud. Clear. Firm. People in the shadows begin to whisper the news to one another. Relief walks on feet. A fringe-leaning note while your arms behave. Some folks try sleeping in side rooms for an answer. They bring mats and ask for a dream. They hope Imhotep, healer, will whisper a cure. Or a local god will send a picture that points the way. It happens more in later days, but the habit has old bones. The temple breathes people in and then returns them with a word. You think that is gentle. You make the last arc of the court. The sun kisses the paving in pale bands. The lotus on the tray opens more. The bread warms and glows. Your nose says yes to all of it. Your hands say, hold still. You pass the rope line again. A woman steps forward with an amulet of a tiny ear on a cord. She lifts it high so the god can hear her son's cough. The scribe reads her slip. Will he get strong? The barque tilts forward like a nod. She sobs once, relief sharp as a bell. The cat, who has followed the show at a very safe distance, blinks in approval. The cat is the head of HR. It approves miracles and snacks. You pause at the doorway to the hypostyle. The shade soaks up the heat and makes it gentle. You stand for 7 breaths. Your team counts on you. The bark rests on your bones like a gold bird. You feel a tiny sway. Not yours, something else. A yes to the whole morning. You decide to believe that. Historians still debate whether this listening walk occurred every single dawn or only on designated days, and whether the large public oracles waited for festivals like Opet, while small yes or no answers resided in the quiet hours. Your house keeps both. Loud days for crowds, soft days like this for finer knots. You return to the side chapel. You lower the poles to the stands. You wipe the rails with a clean cloth. You check the cords one more time. You bow to the prow and step back. Your shoulders float without the weight and feel like clouds that forgot how to sit. You like that. The scribe sorts the slips. Yes to the steward's bench. No to the oath table. Wait to the side rights. He ties them with a reed and marks each bundle with a quick sign. The jar of water glares like it wants to help. He ignores it. He has ink. He is proud of his ink. You will tease him later. You walk out to the rope for one breath. You lift your hands and give the quiet sign. People bow and back away with small steps. They leave flowers and a few coins in a bowl. A guard nods thanks. A child waves. You raise 2 fingers in a tiny hello. You do not wink. You want to. You do not. You step back into the halls. The bark glows in the side room like a moon in a cave. The smoke thins. The air tastes of frankincense and warm grain. You think of the silly things people try when they cannot get an answer fast. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen? Someone once swore it helped the god notice you. It did not. Clean hands and a steady heart work better. Also, less smelly. You pass the offering table. The loaves sit proudly. The lotus opens wider. The beer cups hold their gold calm. You touch the cloth edge and feel the room nod. Answers went out like birds. They will land in homes and change small days. That is enough. You shoulder no weight now. You feel light as a reed and twice as steady. You slip out through a side gate into the animal court. The air shifts. Warm hay. River mud. A slight pond smells. Lamps hang low on hooks. The cat pads after you, tail up, like it owns this yard too. It probably does. The bull house stands to your left. Its door is wide. Its lintel is carved with tiny flowers. Inside, the Apis bull gleams like night poured into a muscle. He turns his great head. A sun disk charm hangs between his horns. A ribbon ties at his neck. His flank moves like a wave. You bow. You keep your hands open, low, calm. Keepers wait by the wall with baskets. One nods. He is in a good mood. His eyes say. Another shrugs. He wants more greens. His eyebrows answer. Temple breakfast, but with opinions. You reach for the first basket. Barley mash, thick as wet bread. You scoop a neat ball and offer it on a flat palm. The bull snorts, then takes it with a soft, careful pull. His tongue is rough as a rope. He chews slowly. You breathe again. You offer greens next. Clover and reeds. He chomps with joy. You grin inside. He likes salad more than you do. You set dates on a low ledge. 2, not 3. He knows the count. He pretends he does not. He eyes your hand. Where is the 3rd? His whole face seems to say. You point at the rules. He sighs like a mountain and accepts his fate. A keeper brushes his shoulder with a palm fiber brush. The hair shines. Dust lifts and floats away. You check the ribbon tie. You test the cord on the neck charm. You wipe a tiny drip from his lip. He sneezes once. The sound is thunder with allergies. The cat leaps a foot high and pretends it did not. You try not to laugh. There is an old whisper that an apis sneeze can be a good omen. You do not write it down. You do pocket the feeling. An apparent fact for your morning: the apis bull is a sacred one. He lives like a lord. When he dies, he receives a grand burial in a long stone hall at Saqqara, known as the Serapeum. People visit. They bring oil and tears. Kings carve gifts for him. You remember the cool of that place and the echo of feet. You run your hand along the carved rosette on the stall post. It is smooth. It knows many palms. Your keeper friend tells you about the note from yesterday. He left 2 mouthfuls. Heat. Today, he eats all. Good. You nod. A complete bull is a calm bull. Your shoulder likes calm bulls. Your ribs like them too. Historians still debate whether the apis spent most of their days in shade like this or walked out early to bask in the sun. Some say stall. Some say round pen. Some say both. By season. You trust the keepers. They watch his mood more than anyone. They know the hour he wants wind and the hour he wants quiet. You wipe your hands on a clean strip and step back. You bow again. The bull lowers his head a hair. He understands greetings. He understands snacks better. Same. You cross the yard to the ibis court. The pond there is shallow and clear. Flat stones ring it like a necklace. White birds stand like thin older men in long coats. Their beaks curve like moon slivers. Their eyes are specks of law. They could grade your handwriting from here. You bow to them, too. You always do. Keepers carry small baskets of fish bits. They pinch tiny pieces and toss. The ibis heads dart. Quick, precise. The little splashes sound like rain. You hold a bowl of scraps and pass it along. You nod to a bird with a nicked beak. You remember it. It remembers you. Or it remembers the bowl. You accept either. You walk the edge and check the reed screens. No holes. No eager fox. The gate latch sits tight. Good. A keeper shows you a tiny egg on a pad of reeds. First of the week. You smile and keep your hands back. You are not that brave. A fact worth keeping. Ibises belong to Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. Temples keep many. When they die, people wrap them and lay them by the thousands in catacombs. Long tunnels, tall jars, names, dates. It is a hush that smells like resin and dust. You have walked there. It humored your jokes for a whole afternoon. Historians still debate whether these birds were raised in great yards like this by the thousands, trapped in the wild during certain seasons, or both. The numbers in the ground say, so many. The bones tell 2 stories. You sip the debate like warm water and let the experts chew it. You feed those who are here. A quirky whisper rides the breeze. Some keepers say ibises like a tiny rub of scented oil on the wrist of the hand that feeds them. They keep flies off, they say. And the birds think we are fancy. You try it once today. The birds do not swoon. You smell nice. That counts as a win. The cat tries to stalk a shadow of a fish and fails with grace. The ibises glare. They have no patience for amateurs. You scoop a leaf from the pond and flick it away. You touch the water to your brow. Cool. Kind. You let the quiet of their small steps soak into your bones. You move on to the heavy gate by the low pool. The water there is deeper, green at the edges, dark in the middle. A crocodile floats like a log with ideas. He blinks like a king who has already been told the joke and will still allow it. You stop at a safe step back. You are not silly. Keepers kneel by a low ledge with a platter of strips of meat. Soft cakes are sweetened with dates. A pinch of herbs on top, because even crocodiles deserve garnish. Apparently, the keeper with the scar on his arm, an old story with a happy ending, nods to you. He is smug today, his face says. You nod back. He is always smug. Your face answers. You clap twice, softly. The crocodile slides closer. The water sighs over his back. He opens his mouth. It looks like a gate to yesterday. You do not lean in. The keeper sets a strip of meat across the ledge. The jaw closes. The sound is a bag of sticks dropped in mud. You shiver because your body is smart. You keep your feet calm because your job is your job. A traveler once wrote that sacred crocodiles wore bracelets and took sweet cakes, as well as a sip of wine. People in the Fayum pampered them like grandfathers who told good stories. Quirky, yes. Real enough to make you stare at the wrist of this one and imagine a gold bangle. He looks like he expects one. He looks like he expects a fan, a song, and your best chair, too. You bless the food with a small sign and let the keepers do the brave part. Your eyes never leave the teeth. Respect is watching. Respect keeps fingers on hands. You offer a lotus over the pool. It floats like a soft boat. The crocodile blinks and decides he owns it now. Historians still debate whether every temple kept live crocodiles, or only certain houses of Sobuk, and how tame they were in reality. Some say pet, some say partner, some say, do not test it. You pick, do not test it. You step back one pace. You make a quick mental list of the smells you encountered today. Hay, fish, warm hide, sweet date cake. Frankincense is still thin on your skin. It is a very odd perfume. The cat approves. The cat approves of anything near meat. The cat is consistent. That helps. You check in with the keepers. Greens tomorrow? More shade for the bull? Fresh fish at dusk? They trade notes fast and sure. They know moods. They know weather changes before the flags do. They know when to joke and when to hush. You thank them with a nod and a promise to bring oil for their hands. Their hands crack like old pots if you forget. You wash your fingers in a bowl by the gate. You rub a pinch of natron through your palms. Yes, again. Animals are lovely. Rules are rules. You dab oil after. Your skin drinks it. Your breath slows back to temple pace. The world shrinks back from teeth to gold. A fun callback. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen rumor? No one here is rubbing that on anything today. Not the birds. Not the bull. Not you. The keepers laugh when you mention it. Only for enemies. One says. You both grin. Jokes make good fences. You look once more at the bullhouse. A low rumble answers your eyes. He is content. Good. The ibis pond shows ripples like someone traced lines of glass. The crocodile has found a sun patch and floats like a god on a couch. He looks very pleased with the breakfast service. He would give 5 stars. He would still eat the waiter. You choose not to leave a review card. You bow to each yard. You keep your hands open and honest. You nod to the keepers. They nod to you. The cat decides it is now the head of animals and patrols the path like a tiny boss. You are okay with that. You have plenty of bosses today. You pass back through the side gate. The temple air kisses you cool again. The frankincense sits lightly. The scent of bread lifts, soft and warm. You feel full and empty at once, full of calm, empty of rush. You carry the animal yard inside for a bit. Heavy, gentle, honest. You pause at a wall niche and touch the small image of Sobuk with a finger. Then Thoth with his ibis face. Then a little Ta with a tight robe and a smile like a secret. You thank them for a smooth hour. You thank the keepers you just left. You thank your feet. You wash your hands one more time at the basin by the door. You dry on clean linen. You smooth your kilt. You nod to the scribe, who pretends he was not hoping for a story about the crocodile. You whisper, smug, and his mouth twitches. He writes a note for supplies. You pass on, quiet, toward the rooms where cloth and smoke still hold the shape of your morning. You feel the hour turn. The air says, close. You nod. You step into the naos. The curtain still hangs half across. You lift it with 2 fingers. You look in once more. Linen smooth, collar straight, crown true. You bow from the waist. You whisper thanks. You reach for a thin, veiled cloth. You lay it over the god's shoulders. It is light as a breath. It keeps dust and eyes away till tomorrow. Soft, still. You draw the curtain. You do not yank. You guide. The edges meet like 2 waves that agree to rest. Your partner brings the tie. You loop it twice. You make the knot flat and neat. Your thumb presses the tie down for 1 heartbeat. You feel it learn its place. You lift a tiny pellet of clay. It is damp and cool. You press it over the knot. You smooth it with a wet fingertip. It takes your print like soft earth. A feather seal waits in a small dish. You take it up. You set it in the clay. You press. The mark sits crisp and proud. Marat keeps watch. The scribe steps to the line and peers in. He stays at the threshold. He nods. He notes the seal. He notes the time. He notes your name and that of your partner. The papyrus drinks his ink. You close the naos doors. You bring them together slowly. The wood meets wood with a sigh. You fit the latch. You slide the small bolt. You tie the cord across. 2 loops. 1 knot. You add another clay pellet. Smooth. Press. Stamp. A falcon and a feather nest side by side. The room relaxes. Your shoulders do too. A clean fact. Priests seal inner doors each day. Clay on cord keeps hands honest. Scribes watch and record. Keys hang on pegs. Names live on lists. This is how a big house remembers itself. You like that? It feels like putting shoes by the door in a neat row. Calm lives in rows. Historians still argue whether the naos stayed shut till the next dawn, or opened again at noon for a small rite, or for private vows. Some houses did one thing, others, another. Your house sleeps the god now. Noon will burn incense at the outer doors. Inside, it stays wrapped like a dream. You bow 3 times, not deep, light, a good night more than a goodbye. You lift the lamp and let its coin of light slide off the curtain. You step back to the mark. You keep your chest to the doors until you hit the line on the floor. There. Now you can turn. You turn to the table. Food waits in tidy ranks. The room smells like warm bread and sweet smoke. The lotus opens wider. The beer sits gold and quiet. Time to share. You lift your hands and spread your fingers. A small sign to the team. They appear like cats from corners. Quiet. Ready. You and your partner raise the goose together. You pass it through one last curl of smoke. You set it on a clean tray. A boy takes the tray like a precious book. He strolls. He knows the path. Meat goes to the cutting room by the court. Knives tap there. Shares will be cut neatly and fairly. Forelegs, ribs, slices. No, big piece for my cousin. Not on your watch. You stack loaves, long ones in one basket, rounds in another. You slide figs into shallow bowls. You add dates, a few to each. You pour beer into small jugs with lids. You keep the lids tight. You do not want a slosh parade. You pass the stacks to the hands in white. They move like water. They do not talk much. They will later. For now, steps, trays, and breath. A notable fact to keep in mind. After the god takes the essence, the food is shared. Staff eat. Guards eat. Singers eat. Scribes eat. Families get shares. Workers take rations. This is referred to as the reversion of offerings. It keeps the temple alive, just as a heart keeps a body alive. The god gets spirit. People get bread. Balance tastes good. Historians still argue whether poor folks at the gate received some food most days, or only on big days, or as favors called in by name. They also debate how quickly meat had to be moved in the heat. Eat now? Salt later? Dry into jerky? Rules are likely to change with the season and its stores. Your house moves quickly. Morning turns to meals before noon. No one likes bad goose. You lift the cloth and check for crumbs. You collect each one with a damp finger. You tip them in a bowl for birds. You smile at your own past joke. No 5-second rule here. If it hits the holy table, it belongs to the god or the sparrows, not to your mouth. Nice try, stomach. You pour the libation cup into the drain. The stone drinks and returns a soft hush. You wick a drip of beer off the carved lip. You dab a drop of grease from the edge of the table. You hum one note. It helps your hands think. You wipe. You fold. You're smooth. The cloth lies flat again. You lay fresh flowers where the plates were. Blue and white. Cool on the eyes. The scribe collects the count slips from the tray team. He checks the lists. He compares the kitchen numbers. He frowns. He smiles. He draws a line. He makes a tiny sun beside it when totals match. He is proud of that sun. You are proud of him. A quirky tidbit. Some loaves get a little push with a thumbprint when they leave the oven. The print marks the baker and the batch. It also pops a bubble. A few loaves on your tray have those tiny moons. The boy with the tray likes to find his mother's thumb in a pile. He eats that loaf more slowly. You get it. Thumb loaves taste like home. You wave to the doorway. The rope lifts for a blink. A line of workers waits there with bowls. They carry tools on their shoulders. They smell like plaster and sun. You send out baskets through the ushers. Bread here. A pinch of herbs there. A share of beer. The bowls fill up, then empty, then fill up again as helpers move. You see one older man tuck around under his shirt for a child. You pretend not to see it. You like seeing it. You keep the beer for the singers in a shaded jar. They earn it. Their throats turn the morning like a wheel. You send a sweet heel of bread to the scribe. He hides a smile under duty. He fails. You allow this failure. Brooms arrive. Palm fiber, bound tight on long sticks. Their sound is soft. Wish. Wish. The floor changes under them. Shine wakes up. You love this sound. It is like rain on reeds. The broom crew moves like a school of fish. Gentle. Precise. A drip here. A crumb there. Gone. You mix a small amount of natron with water in a bowl. You dip a cloth. You swipe the places your feet stood most. Oils from skin leave shadows. Shadows turn to clean. You do the base of the naos last. Slow. Care. The floor thanks you with a small cool under your fingers. A fact worth noting. Temple floors slope to drains cut into corners. Libations need a place to go. Wash water too. The little holes lead to stone runs. They leave the hall clean and the court dry. Someone planned this. You often want to send them a fruit basket. You settle for a nod to the floor. Historians still argue whether sweeping at sunrise had a set order or if teams took sections as they wished. They also debate whether the broom song had fixed words. In some towns, you hear a rhyme. Out, sand. In peace. In others, just breath and fiber. Your crew hums. The hum keeps time without fuss. You check the lamp cups and snuff any that flicker too low. You trim a wick. You slide a new one into a dish. You keep the fire even. You coil extra cords and hang them on their peg. You wipe the brazier lip with a cloth. Resin leaves a caramel edge. It smells like cookies that never quite bake. You like it. You do not lick it. You are not 5. The cat patrols the line of brooms like a captain. It swats a straw. It attacks a dust bunny. It wins. It parades. It acts cool about that. You award it a medal in your head. The medal is a quail. It is theoretical. You carry empty jars to the side shelf. You place them open so they dry. You turn their seals face up. You blow a strand of hair. Oh wait, you have no hair. You laugh without sound. The room hears it anyway and is kind. A fringe whisper spins through the broom bristles. Some old keepers spit 3 times at door corners to send bad dreams out with the dust. 3 small spits. Not big ones. You have seen it. You do not do it here. You sweep instead. The idea is the same. Out you go, mess. We keep calm. You step back and watch the crew finish. The floor looks like a pale river. The walls breathe. The offerings are in the hands of those who will smile. The naos rests behind its stamps. The room is itself again. Work done without loud pride. Work done with quiet joy. The best kind. Your hands go still. Your breath goes long. You feel light and sound. You check the seal on the curtain one more time. No crack. Good. You check the cords on the outer door. Still firm. Good. You press the clay bits from the morning into a jar. The scribe will sort them later. Clay remembers. You whisper thanks to the brooms as they pass. Tools need love. They last longer that way. The workers grin. One says the brooms are the faithful high priests. You agree. Floors are the first altar and the last. If the floor holds, everything else can stand. You pick up the crumb bowl and walk to the open court. Birds hop near the sun strip. You toss the tiny bits. They scatter like brown rain. Beaks tap. Wings flash. A feather lands on your bare head and sticks for a tick. You wear it like a crown for one step. You blow it off and let it fly. It swirls up into light. You return to the hall. The hush feels earned. Your stomach speaks again. It is more polite now. It knows bread is near. You smile. You will eat when the counts say yes. You stroke the linen flat over the stand one last time. Smooth. Quiet. Ready for tomorrow. You slip into the records room. Cool air. Clay jars on shelves. Papyrus rolls tied with red string. A low table waits like a calm lake. The scribe sits, heel of bread in hand, ink grin on his lips. You set down your lamp. The flame makes a small gold coin on the table. The room smells like reed, gum, and a hint of smoke. It feels like quiet power. The scribe lays out his palette, 2 little wells. One holds black, one holds red. He dips a reed pen. He tests a line. It flows like a small river. He writes today's date with a neat hand. Black for the words, red for heads and warnings. A simple fact for your pocket. Scribes here use black carbon ink for the body and red ochre ink for titles, God's names, and pay attention marks. Red is the shout, even when the room whispers. You hand him the count. 7 tall loaves, 12 rounds, 1 goose, 1 haunch, 2 ducks, figs and dates, 1 bowl each. Lettuce, 1. Herbs, 1. 3 cups of beer, 1 wine splash. He nods and speaks each one back to you, carefully and slowly. He matches his board notes to your mouth. The numbers click like small stones in a bowl. He writes. The ink darkens as it dries. The papyrus makes a soft sigh. You add the shares that are left. 2 baskets to the cutting room. 1 for the singers. Jugs to the guards. Bread for the workers at the rope. You note the crumb bowl for the birds. You say it like a joke. The scribe writes it really. He is kind that way. You both smile at the thought of sparrows with tiny ledgers. You move to the store list. Oil used for anointing. 1 small jar. Natron, half a pot. Frankincense, 3 beads. Myrrh, 1 drop more than planned. He raises an eyebrow at that. You shrug. The god likes to smell nice. He pretends to scold. He writes the number. He also writes a small next to order more resin. He will prod the storehouse later. Your nose thanks him in advance. A messenger slides in. He carries a clay docket from the grain hall. He reads the mill count. Emmer in, barley out, flour to the bakery, by sacks. You nod. The scribe adds those lines to the big sheet. The sheet lies long, like a sleeping river. Numbers run down it. Names run across. It is a map of your morning, but quiet. Your to-do list today: water, smoke, dress a god, then ancient spreadsheets. You try to look cool about that. The cat jumps up and puts a paw on the margin. Paw print. Signature. You both pretend that it is normal. You pull the calendar board close. It is a plank with lines. Months sit in 3 groups of 4. Ake, parade, shimu, flood, growing, harvest. Each month holds 30 days. At the end are 5 extra days. The 5 stand apart like a little island. An apparent fact, the civil year here has 365 days. 12 months of 30. Then, there are 5 epigomenal days for the birthdays of big gods. No leap day. The year slips slowly against the stars. People don't mind. They ride the slip like a boat rides a bend. You mark today's square with a tiny feather. A temple sign for done well. You mark the next 3 days with small jars and loaves. That flags a high need for flour. You draw a tiny sistrum on the line for the festival next week. Music squads double. You make a red dot for the new moon. You add a blue dot for the day of cool water. You smile. You like that one. You plan extra jars. You talk about festivals. Opet in the flood season. The beautiful festival of the valley in the heat. Weep a trumpet, the new year, when the 5 birthdays come one by one. You mark them with red stripes across the month. You plan tall loaves for big days. You add more beer cups. You note a fresh lotus from the riverside. You also add a joke on the Feast of Min. That is the lettuce day. Yes, that's salad again. The scribe coughs into his hand to hide a laugh. Historians still argue whether daily rites followed the civil calendar only, or also a lunar calendar, or a star calendar for certain feasts, or all 3 in a complex interplay. They also argue that each temple sets its clock to sunrise. Your house uses the civil days for lists and a moon check for some songs. The watcher on the roof keeps your feet to the ground. You pull out the duty tablet. Names stand in neat rows by team. Fills turn like a wheel. 1 month on, then a rest. A notable fact, duty groups rotate to share the workload. The names on your board feel like old friends. You slide markers to show who guards the gate, who watches the clock, who tends the lake, who feeds the animals, who sings, who sweeps, who seals, and who opens. You set 2 novices to shadow you next week. Poor kids, lucky kids. You add a star by their names so you remember to be kind when they drop a brush. You pencil extra hands for the festival. More clappers. 2 additional water carriers. 1 more brazier mover. You add a runner to the nilometer on the river stairs. The flood is near. You want the number by noon. You write oil to animal yard. Keepers asked. You draw a tiny hand by it. That means, do not forget again, friend. Your cheeks warm. You deserve that hand. A quirky bit you enjoy. The Book of Days sits on the shelf. It marks lucky and unlucky days. Do not shear today. It belongs to the storm. Good to start a journey. Do not argue with your boss. You peek for fun. Today is good for writing. It is also suitable for cutting nails. Not very epic. Very helpful. You trim 1 hangnail with your teeth and feel like a rebel. The scribe pretends not to see. You check the House of Life list. The House of Life is the temple's mind. It holds scrolls, doctor's notes, hymns, and dream books. Copies need to be made. Edges need to be tied. Ink cakes need to be pressed. Novices need lines to learn. You choose 1 hymn for copying. You pick a small, good speech for the boys. Breathe in 4. Breath out 4. Sounds easy. Use hard. The scribe nods. He loves neat breaths. Historians still debate whether every temple had a full House of Life within, or only major centers, with smaller libraries located elsewhere, and whether the same texts were stored in each. They also debate how many scribes lived here full-time. Your room feels alive enough. Shelves hum, pens twitch, ink listens. You check the oracular slips from the walk. Yes, no, wait. You stack them by type. You add a red line for the wait bundle. That means a side right. Oil and song at dusk. A small fee. You draw a tiny ear at the place where the woman left her charm. Return it at noon with a blessing. It will make her day. It will make yours too. You sharpen a reed. You cut the nib at a slant. You bite the tip to make the fibers soft. You touch it to water in a tiny cup. You dip it in black. You draw a simple goose, because your hand wants to play for a breath. The cat approves. It likes geese more than geese like it. You blot the ink with a scrap of paper. You test red. It sinks. You mark a warning following the resin line. Do not run low. Ever. The messenger returns. Nilometer says the river rises 1 hand. Good. No panic. You add that to the edge of the calendar. You pencil a bar for dredge work at the canal mouth. You draw a small boat. The scribe adds a note to call the crew. He chews his reed and looks pleased with his day. You fold a small papyrus for the kitchens. Extra flour needed in 2 days. You fold another for the storehouse. Bring more natron from the jar room. 1 big basket. You fold one for the animal yard. Oil for hands. Shade for bull at noon. You fold one for the singers. 3 new girls to test. Kind eyes. Strong breath. You seal each with a dab of clay and a quick thumb. You press a tiny common sign. Not a god seal. A house mark. It strikes a balance between official and friendly at the same time. You lean back and let the room hum around you. You feel the pull of the lists. They do not choke. They guide. The world runs on breath and steps, but also on lines in black and red. You love this quiet engine. It keeps hunger small and hope near. A fringe whisper lands, just for fun. Some say scribes kept a magic pen for hard days. It was a reed tipped with a drop of copper in the ink. Writes better, they say. Scares bad math. You roll your eyes. You smile. You hide 1 copper-stained pen in the cup anyway. It can't hurt. You check if you missed anything. You touch the calendar. You feel the day sit right in its square. You sign the bottom of the sheet with your name and a small feather. Truth sits in the corner and nods, neat as a stamp. The cat curls on the warm papyrus stack, as if it were king of lists. It purrs and smears 1 red mark into a pink thumbprint. The scribe sighs. You both laugh. You leave the smudge. It feels lucky. You gather the folded notes. You tuck them in your belt. You thank the scribe with a slight bow. He thanks you with a crust. You should not eat here. You tuck it behind your ear like a reed. You look like him for a blink. He looks like you for 1, 2. You step out of the records room. The papyrus sighs behind you. The ink settles. The calendar hangs on the wall like a soft compass. You feel the quiet power of it lift your chest. The day holds. The following steps wait. You step from the records room with notes tucked in your belt. The hall smells like cool stone and a whisper of smoke. The quiet feels clean. Your hands itch for small work. Good. The day loves small work. First, the thresholds. Sand creeps in like a sneaky guest. Nature's glitter is back. You grab a palm fiber broom. You sweep slow, short strokes. You push grains toward the drains at the corners. The broom sings a soft wish. Your toes curl so you don't step on the raised bar. Never step on a threshold. You step over. You keep the lines sacred. You sweep again until the stone shines like a pale river. You fetch a dusting cloth. You wipe lamp shelves. You trim a wick that sulks. You rotate a cup so that soot builds evenly. You smile at your own fuss. Order loves tiny moves. You carry the empty oil jar to the shelf. You set it upside down so it dries. You open a fresh one. The lid smells like bees and sun. You pour a slow snake into the lamp's belly. No spills. No show-off. You are the opposite of chaos. You drop notes along the way. 1 to the kitchen. Extra flour in 2 days. 1 to the storehouse. Natron. 1 big basket. 1 to the animal yard. Oil for hands. 1 to the singers. 3 new girls to test. You do not peek into the snack bowl. You are iron. Your stomach boos. You ignore it. The cat blocks the hall like a small, furry boss. You dodge left. It slides left. You dodge right. It slides right. You stop and bow. It approves and moves 1 inch. You slide past with dignity. The cat writes you up in its heart. You will never see that file. Lotus time. You head to the sacred lake with a reed knife and a basket. The water lies smooth. The morning wind draws little rings on top. Buds lift like sleepy hands. You step down the first 2 stairs. You keep your linen dry. You choose flowers with long stems. You cut at a slant. You leave the leaves to feed the roots. You lay the stems in neat parallel lines. You count to 10. You add 1 more for luck. You tie them with a reed string. You set them in a jar to drink. They will open by noon. You love that trick. It never gets old. On the path back, you stop at the flag ropes on the pylon. The little banners whisper. The knots hold. The cords hum. You rub a dab of fat on a squeaky ring. It hushes. You appreciate it when the temple says thank you in small ways. You visit the mat room. You straighten reed mats by doorways. You check for splits. You weave 1 loose end back with a slender pick. In and out. In and out. Your hands find the rhythm. You fix a fray. You press the mat flat with your palm. Its size, same. You drop to a knee to tie a loose curtain. You make a flat knot. You pat it once. You do not pull hard. You teach the knot its job. You reward it with a good knot in your head. You move on. A quiet fact for you. Temple rules run deep. Priests shave often. They bathe many times. They wear white linen. They remove sandals on holy floors. They avoid certain foods during service. They keep away from sex on duty. They stay pure by touch, taste, and time. The rules are the rails. You ride smoothly because of them. Historians still argue whether garlic and onions were banned for all priests every day, or only for specific gods, or only before a rite. Some say no fish for all. Some say only for some houses. You stick to your place's list. No fish here. Onions are fine today. Lettuce is spirited on festival days. You keep a straight face. You set the lotus jars along cool walls. 2 in the outer hall. 1 by the offering stand. 1 for the records room because ink likes flowers too. You frame the petals with a palm frond. You cut the stems evenly. Your knife makes little clicks. You wish your own hair made that sound. Oh wait, you have no hair. Right. You look over the rules board by the side door. It is a plank with lines burned in. Short lines, clear lines, wash hands, trim wicks, tie ropes. No loud talk. No leather past this point. No wool. A simple tidbit. Leather can feel too bound to death for holy rooms. Papyrus sandals are good. Plant stuff is calm. You check your feet. Take off your sandals inside. Toes ready. Stone cool. Yes, you pinch a bit of ash from last night's brazier and wipe it from a ledge. You feel it under your nail. You do not like that. You flick it into the sweep pan. Gone. You wipe again with a damp cloth. Better. You whisper, no soot on my watch. Your partner hears and smirks. Friendly crime. The smallest smack talk. You carry a tiny basket of barley to the pigeon loft. The birds coo like jars singing. You pour the grain slowly so it does not dust up. 1 slip, and you will be sweeping the world. You pour like a patient river. Grains fall and stay. You exhale. You close the gate. In the herb nook, you sort fresh bundles of herbs. Mint, dill, fenugreek. You tie them with reed strings. You hang them high. The corner smells like a clean kitchen. You bag a handful of mint for the singers. Breath loves mint. Your notes go back in your belt. You are a walking to-do list with coal. A quirky bit. When a cat dies in a house, people shave their eyebrows in grief. That is an old note from a traveler. He saw it and wrote it proudly. You glance at the cat. It blinks. Your brows are safe today. Good. You check the water clock. Drip, drip. The line in the bowl whispers the hour. You match it against your body. Yes, the day is on time. You run a finger along the rim, smooth as a song. You rub a little fat on the pin so the drip stays true. You move on. You pass a novice scrubbing a step with natron. He misses a tiny corner. You point with a finger and a smile. He scrubs. He beams. You nod like a proud aunt and go on. You like teaching in small pieces. The big pieces take care of themselves if the tiny ones do. You swing by the storeroom and sign off on a small stack of jars. Oil, 1. Natron, 1. Resin beads, 5. The keeper clicks his tongue at the resin line. We are low, he says. You show him the red mark on the list. He grins. He opens a new basket. You both smell the sweet. You both pretend you are not happy about that. You fail. You walk the outer walk and sweep sand off the inner edge. You make a low wall of grains and push them along in a neat rolling line. The line grows. It looks like a tiny dune snake. The cat preps to pounce. You make the line vanish into a crack. The cat glares at the crack. It hates magic tricks. You pause to read a little oath posted on a pillar. It is old. It says, "Do no wrong in this house. Do not steal bread. Do not lie about counts. Do not raise your voice. Do not bring sadness here." You touch the words with 2 fingers. You feel your own heart go quiet. You like rules that feel like kindness, not like chains. You check your kilt. A pleat bent. You smooth it with your hand. You press the pleat under your palm until it remembers its job. You ghost iron with skin and patience. You hum one low note. The pleat obeys. You take the crumb bowl to the court. Sparrows hop and chat. You cast the crumbs like rain, beaks rap. Wings murmur. A feather lands on your shoulder and stays. You wear it for 2 steps. You laugh under your breath and set it free. You deliver the mint to the singers. You slip the oil into the animal yard. You set natron beside the basin by the inner door. You put a clean towel on the hook. You leave a spare broom by the court because brooms are heroes. You tell it so. You are only half joking. You stop at the small do not forget shelf. On it sits the heavy sistrum you used. You wipe its face with a soft cloth so skin oils do not sit. You polish the counterweight of the manette. You set both on clean linen. You put a little cedar sliver in the drawer to keep moths out. Moths do not pay tithes. They can go. You glance at a board of painted signs for novices. No pointing at the god. No running. No jokes inside the veil. The left hand holds the lamp. Right hand offered. You grin at no jokes. You have kept most of yours in your pocket. Most. You add one more lotus to a bare spot. You fetch a tiny jug of cool water and Nestle the stem. You wipe a drip. You adjust a leaf. You step back. The flower looks like a small boat of light. You feel your ribs soften like warm clay. You recheck the door ropes. Tight. You test the seals. Firm. You count the clay bits from dawn. The jar rattles like hail. The scribe will enjoy that sound. He enjoys weird things. You like him for that. You remind yourself of one last rule for the hour. Hands clean, mouth calm, feet slow. It is painted on your heart by now. Keeps you from speeding when the day pulls. Keeps you from drifting when the day thins. You think of a debate you heard last year. Historians still argue whether priests stayed in strict celibacy the whole duty month or only kept a set abstinence before each rite. They also wonder who did the low jobs, pure priests only or pure helpers too. You look at your broom. You know the answer in this house. Everyone who touches the temple touches it clean. High or low, the rules hold like rope. You carry the sweep pan to the yard and tap it into a bin. The sand falls with a hush. You rinse the pan. You hang it. You wash your hands at the basin. Natron. Water. Dry. Oil. Done. Your fingers smell like frankincense and mint, with a hint of wet reed. Not bad. Not bad at all. You look down the cool hall. The air is pale now. Light rests on stone like cream. The lotus in the jars starts to open. The flag ropes are quiet. The cat has forgiven you. Maybe. The rules sit like kind bones under the day. You have threaded them without dropping a grain. You breathe once, long and slow. You feel ready for the next small climb. The heat leans in from the court. Flags droop. Stone breathes out warmth. Your scalp feels the sun even in shade. The air has a slight metallic taste, like copper and dust. Noon is here. Myrrh waits. You bring the brazier to the outer doors. You do not break the seal. The naos sleeps under its feather stamp. You keep your vow from the morning. You set the stand near the threshold, where shadow meets light. The coals glow like small hearts. You open the tight jar. Myrrh sits inside, thick and brown, sticky as a sweet secret. You drop 2 bits on the mesh. They soften. They shine. A rich smoke rises. Warm. Honeyed. A little bitter like a good joke. Curls up and over the lintel. Finds the roof beams and slowly comes back down. Your breath falls in with it. The room makes a low purr. A plain old fact to pocket. Many houses burn frankincense at dawn, myrrh at midday, and kiffy at night. People say the trio keeps the day in balance. Morning bright, noon deep, evening sweet. You have felt it enough to agree. You lift the hand sensor and walk the frame of the outer doors. 1 slow loop. 2. You tilt the smoke inward so it kisses the curtain without touching it. You speak a short noon hymn. Hail RA in your height, midday in peace. Keep your boat straight, keep our hearts light. Your voice is low and slow. The words carry on warm air. You stand still and listen to the space. The scribe sits back in his niche and lets his reed rest. The cat goes boneless in a bar of sun and tries to own the entire court with one paw. You forgive it. You would do the same. You pour a pinch of cool water in a line along the sill. The drops flash and vanish, the stone drinks. You tilt a cup to the air for the sun. You do not toss it. You let the scent do the traveling. The sun is very good at finding its gifts. Outside, the paving glows, light pools in the cracks. The sacred lake lies like a mirror. You can almost hear it hiss in the heat. A keeper has set water jars near the shade. The jars sweat. They cool their own sides in the slight breeze. That old trick never fails. Porous clay is air's best friend. You wet your wrist, and the pulse there slows and cools. You feel human again. A fan floats behind you, ostrich feathers pale and wide. A boy moves it in slow arcs, not too close to the smoke, just enough to stir the heavy air. The fan whispers, the feathers gleam. Fan bearer is suddenly your favorite job in the world. Ancient aircon. No fee. Someone give that boy a raise. You set one more pebble of myrrh on the mesh. The smoke deepens. The room grows calm and a bit drowsy. Historians still argue whether noon always meant a formal right here, or a short wave of smoke and a word at the door, or a public hymn in the court. Your place is small and steady. You keep it close and kind. You bow to the sealed curtain. You touch the floor with your fingertips. You lay a lotus on the step. Its petals have opened now. The flower smells cool even in this heat. That is a nice trick. You might steal it. You step back into the portico shade. Your sandals whisper, "We were promised inside work." You pat them with your eyes. You make up for it with a cool floor under your toes. The stone keeps a secret river of chill down deep. You stand on that river and breathe. The scribe appears with your crust. Finally, he is very casual about it. He is not casual at all. You both pretend this is not the best moment of the day. You sit on a low bench in the shadow. You eat the heel in slow bites. The bread is soft inside with a good crust. Tastes like earth that chose kindness. You sip a little cool water from the sweating jar. It is cold like a promise kept. You share the bench with the boy who moved the fan. He eats a date and tries to hide the pit in his fist. You look at the pit. He looks at his fist. He swallows fast. You grin. He grins back. You hand him a mint leaf from your belt. He beams, breath goals. A quirky whisper floats in with the heat. Some folks tie a tiny bead of green stone to their belt at noon for strength. Kepri's color, they say, because morning scarab magic feels like a boost even at midday. You do not wear one now. You already feel the push from the myrrh and the bread. Also, the beads jiggle and drive you up the wall. You check the time with a glance at the water clock. The drip line is steady. The bowl has lowered to the noon mark, as you know. You hum your 7 count. Still fits. You are very fond of things that fit. You carry the hand sensor back to the stand. You fan a last loop toward the door. The smoke leaves a faint glaze on your skin. You will smell like this for hours. Myrrh will follow you like a calm shadow. Better than donkey, yes? Yes. You take the empty jar to the shelf and tuck it behind a cloth. The resin stays soft in shade. You wipe the mesh with a strip of linen. No goo left. You set the tongs down. You thank the fire under your breath. It has behaved all day and you respect that. The court lies almost empty now. A guard leans in the far shade. He chews a reed like a man chewing time. 2 workers cross the band of sun like quick fish. They vanish into shadow and slow down again. The cat flips, offers you its stomach, then retracts the offer when you reach for it. Classic. You walk once around the hall to check seals and pegs. You test the outer cords with your thumb. Firm. You scan the floor for stray sand. None. You straighten a mat that took a nap. You leave the fan back on its hook. The feathers rest. You say sleep well to tools without irony. You step into the side court and tip water into a bowl for birds. They talk while they drink. You understand none of it. You enjoy it anyway. A breeze stirs the reeds by the lake. The sound is clean and thin. It runs along your skin like a cool hand. You think about the morning and how it stacked itself. Water, razors, oil, coal, seals, curtain, Ma'at in your palms, smoke and song, clothes for a god, bread and beer for a spirit and a town, a walk for questions, bulls and birds and teeth, brooms and lists and rules. Now noon. Your brain feels like a neat shelf. Nothing wobbles. That is rare. That feels good. You hold one last debate in your head. Historians still argue whether priests took a nap at noon on duty, taught novices, copied texts, visited the house of life, or sat as you do now and let the sun pass without a fight. You vote for shade and a slow breath, at least for a handful of minutes. You lower yourself onto the cool step by the threshold. Your linen sighs. Your skin says thank you. You are clean. You are fed just enough. You are scented like a calm story. You lean your head back against the stone and look at the blue slice of sky above the walls. It wavers in the heat, but it remains blue. A kite circles high. Its cry falls like a long silver thread. You think of your stone headrest at home and the funny dwarf carved on it. Bess sticks out his tongue in your mind. He guards naps. He laughs at alarms. You will see him soon. For now, the temple is your pillow. The fan is your breeze. The myrrh is your lullaby. You thank God for a smooth morning. You thank the people you moved with. You thank the boy with the fan. You thank the cat because it will hear about it if you do not. You lower your eyelids for a breath. You open them. The day holds. You stand. You smooth your kilt. You touch the feather ring. Light, balanced. You make one last small bow to the sealed door. The knot over the curtain sits flat. The stamp is clean. The world has a spine today. It will stand until dusk. Then night will bring songs and sweet kiffy. But that is another quiet story. You step into the shade and let the long morning fold itself into soft linen calm. The heat roars outside. Inside, you float. You let the picture of noon soften, and you feel the stone cool under your feet as the shade stretches over the court like a long, easy blanket. The last slow thread of myrrh curls up and vanishes into the high beams, leaving a warm, gentle sweetness in the air that hangs around you, the way a kind hand rests on a shoulder. You walk along the wall with your palm brushing the smooth carvings. Each groove in the stone feels like a little river, all of them running toward a vast, safe sea, and the tiny sounds that remain. A low coo, a reed tapping somewhere, the faint hush of a broom finishing its path. All of it blends into a soft hum that reminds you the day knows how to carry itself without asking you to take it alone. You think of the cat asleep in the slice of sun, the lotus opening its last petal, and the quiet doors with their clean, flat knots. You notice how your breath has learned the room, slower now, deeper now, like the tide and the moon, back and forth, steady and sure, and that little steady feeling reaches your shoulders and then your hands and then your jaw, and even your thoughts sit down and fold their legs, resting. You picture the sacred lake going from bright to glass, and the flags barely moving, and the ink in the records room drying to a safe, dark sheen. You understand that everything you touched this morning, water, linen, smoke, bread, words, has found its place, and your part in the pattern is done for now, and that is enough, and that is good. When you finally turn toward the door and the brighter light beyond it, you carry the temple's hush with you, like a small lamp cupped in both hands, and that quiet lamp will not go out when you close your eyes. It will glow soft and low and kind, and it will keep the busy world at the proper distance while you drift. Rest well. You did fine today. The knots hold. The feather is light. The sun is high and kind, and your dream will have cool stone, blue water, and a far, slow drum that sounds like your own even breath.